Chapter 343. Mysterious Yellow Great World. Greater One Sect. Boom. A loud noise suddenly came from the law enforcement hall. Law enforcement elder Tang Jingshan looked at the news in his hand with a look of disbelief. Fang Qingshan returned to Emergent Sect. His cultivation base broke through the immortal body, half-step heavenly dwelling realm, crushed Hua Tiandu, and became the first deputy sect master of Emergent Sect. Although Feng Baiyu did not say that Fang Qingshan was the first deputy sect master, but the fact that he had broken through the immortal body alone was enough to suppress everyone. Not to mention, a Heaven's Pride expert like Hua Tiandu, who had broken through to the peak of longevity realm, could not even take a slap from him. Therefore, everyone called Fang Qingshan as the first deputy sect master in the message. How is this possible? If he did not know that this news could not be mistransmitted, Tang Jingshan would almost think that it was a false report. My God, immortal body, Hua Tiandu had received the strong support of Greater One Sect, and even immortal pills, but he did not break through. But Fang Qingshan not only broke through, but also broke through to the peak of immortal body, which was simply incredible. He was also an immortal body master, and naturally understood the difficulty of breaking through, but it was precisely because of this understanding that he was even more shocked by Fang Qingshan's breakthrough. Damn it! After the shock, Tang Jingshan's face was so gloomy that it could drip water. My God! The moment Greater One Sect issued the Hongjun Tiandao killing order, Fang Qingshan soared to the sky so that the Hongjun Tiandao killing order became a joke. At this time, unless Greater One Sect personally took action, almost no one would make a move against Fang Qingshan. Firstly, his cultivation state was that of a half-step paradise realm cultivator. No matter where he was placed, he would be a huge figure. This was especially the case for Fang Qingshan himself, who was blessed by the heavens. He had great fortuitous encounters, great luck, and great battle prowess. A person like that was even harder to deal with. Although Greater One Sect gave a very generous reward, it was obviously not in line with Fang Qingshan's value. Furthermore, Fang Qingshan was now the first deputy sect master of the Emergent Sect, which was different from a true disciple. He was the real face of the sect, just like the crown prince of country. Assassinating him was equivalent to fighting to the death with the Emergent Sect. Even the Greater One Sect did not dare to start a war at this time. Damn it, could it be another Ling Long? Tang Jingshan frowned and muttered to himself. Ever since the Greater One Sect had deterred the entire black-yellow great world, the Hongjun Tiandao hunting order had only failed on one person, and that was Venerable Ling Long. Now that Fang Qingshan was involved, he could not help but think in this direction. Sigh, if the sect leader finds out. However, this was not the most important thing. The most important thing was that if the people in Hongjun Tiandao knew about this, they would probably vomit blood again. It might even affect the recovery of their injuries and the stability of their realms. He went to Exquisite Paradise to issue the Hongjun Tiandao hunting order. Not only was the person he targeted unharmed, but his reputation was also spread all over the world, while he himself was almost seriously injured and dying, causing his realm to fall. Fortunately, the people in Hongjun Tiandao were brought into the eternal furnace by Supreme Emperor Heaven. As long as he blocked the good news and didn't let the people in Hongjun Tiandao know about it for the time being, there shouldn't be any major problems. Exquisite Paradise. Xiao Shiyu, who was in charge of the punishment, was also reporting to Venerable Ling Long about Fang Qingshan. Oh, half-step heavenly abode? Even Venerable Ling Long couldn't help but be surprised for a moment. Then, the corners of her mouth couldn't help but curl up slightly. Good. Although Fang Han was her tribulation of love, she also thought highly of Fang Qingshan. He had potential, combat strength, knew how to adapt to changes, and was even more daring. Prepare a congratulatory gift and send it over. Yes. Astral Sect, 10,000 returning Immortal Island, Crystal Cave, Sun Moon Sword Sect, Innate Demon Sect. For a time, the entire black-yellow continent was in turmoil. In addition to the Greater One Sect, other sects, including the Demon Sect and Demon Dao, sent congratulatory gifts to congratulate Fang Qingshan for becoming the first deputy sect master of the emergent sect. As for the original proud son of heaven, Hua Tiandu, he had long been forgotten. Even the Greater One sect didn't think of him, and even if they did, they would be resentful and even angry. After all, the Greater One sect had invested a lot of resources in him, but in the end, they gave him such a result. As an investor, the Greater One sect suffered a huge loss. How could they let him think of them? And as the trigger of all this, Fang Qingshan was sitting in the secret chamber of the All Heavens Peak at the moment, somewhat distressed. It wasn't that too many people came to disturb him and annoy him. After sending Fang Qingxue and Fang Han away, Fang Qingshan directly closed the All Heavens Peak. The people who came to congratulate him were all thrown to the emergent sect, Fang Qingxue, Fang Han, and the others. The reason why he was a little hesitant was not a bad thing. On the contrary, it was a good thing. Since Fang Qingshan broke through the longevity realm and became the first deputy sect master of the emergent sect, one of the 10 sects of the immortal Tao in the black-yellow great world, Fang Qingshan's luck was rolling in. From time to time, the all-heaven chessboard would ring with heavenly sounds. With more luck, it would naturally be used to open new worlds. Previously in Shushan, when Fang Qingshan saw that there were no new worlds opened, he thought that the all-heaven chessboard was brewing some big move. He didn't expect that after being appointed as the deputy sect master, the worlds opened would be beyond his expectations. It wasn't that this world was very powerful. On the contrary, the quality of these worlds was too low. Yes, it was these worlds, not this one. This time, it wasn't one world that was open, but a group. It was just that although the number of worlds opened this time had increased, the quality had decreased. They were similar to the heavenly dragon world, the shooting condor, the divine condor, the slightly more advanced Tang dynasty, and even the Fengyan world. However, even the storm world, which was one of the higher-end worlds, was no longer of much use to him. Of course, it wasn't useless. Although it couldn't provide resources for his cultivation, it could also be used as a base to store luck. It was just that with so many worlds opening at the same time, if Fang Qingshan were to travel through them one by one to consolidate his strength and accumulate luck, he would find it troublesome. Therefore, he was a little distressed now. Sigh, I can't split myself. Although Fang Qingshan had learned the one qi turning sanqing, which was a top-notch doppelganger technique, it was overkill to use it here. Moreover, he was still a little stretched. If only I knew Monkey Sun's monkey fur transformation. Monkey Sun, Monkey Sun, Monkey Sun. At the thought of this name, Fang Qingshan suddenly had a flash of inspiration. That's right. Why didn't I think of it before? Fang Qingshan suddenly slapped his head and said with some annoyance and some joy. At the thought of Monkey Sun's monkey fur, Fang Qingshan thought of the roots of the world tree. He didn't need to send a clone down to the mortal world. He could directly use the characteristics of the world tree's roots to take root in the various worlds and manifest himself with the roots of the world tree. Although he couldn't travel the world, he could choose an agent. Didn't those immortals and Buddhas do this? At the thought of this, Fang Qingshan couldn't help but heave a sigh of relief. With a thought, the roots of the world tree pierced toward the newly open world. Chapter 344. After dealing with the matter of being unable to split into two, Fang Qingshan had 3 things to deal with. One was to refine the clear sky treasure mirror and comprehend the law of space in order to break through the grotto heaven realm. When he was in Shu Mountain, because of time constraints, he did not completely refine the clear sky treasure mirror. He only refined it a little and could barely use it. The second was to refine the 9 Doubts Cauldron, which was a great treasure, especially the mixed origin immortal fetus, which was the best choice to open up a world. Fortunately, Fang Qingshan was still far from the World King realm, so there was no need to be too anxious. The third was to enlighten Qiongqi. Qiongqi, one of the 4 evils of heaven and earth, was born from the evil energy of heaven and earth, corresponding to the 4 divine beasts of dragon and phoenix. After reaching adulthood, it would at least be a golden immortal. Moreover, these divine beasts, sacred beasts, and fierce beasts were generally not invincible in the same realm, but at least at the top. This Qiongqi in the sacred emperor mausoleum should have been a golden immortal in the past, otherwise it would not have been suppressed in the sacred emperor mausoleum. However, things change at any time. After being suppressed in the sacred emperor mausoleum for tens of thousands of years, Qiongqi's cultivation dropped again, and now it was only a loose immortal. But even if it was only a loose immortal in the immortal world, it was definitely not worse than Supreme Emperor Heaven, and even better. Such an expert, although Fang Qingshan controlled his primordial spirit and seemed to be able to control his life and death, Fang Qingshan had no confidence in his heart. Therefore, although he had subdued Qiongqi, Fang Qingshan still did not let him recover his strength like the heaven-devouring demon emperor, but kept the status quo. This was because once Qiongqi recovered its cultivation, even if Fang Qingshan controlled the Yuan spirit restriction, it would be useless. The difference in cultivation was too great. Forget about controlling Qiongqi. It would already be a blessing from the heavens if he did not suffer a backlash. Of course, it was not so easy for Qiongqi to recover his golden immortal cultivation. At least before ascending, there was no need to worry about him completely recovering. But even if he couldn't recover his golden immortal cultivation, as long as he recovered to a realm higher than Fang Qingshan, it would still be very dangerous. Therefore, what Fang Qingshan needed to do now was to completely enlighten Qiongqi. Only then could he be at ease and boldly allow Qiongqi to recover his cultivation and not be afraid of Qiongqi's backlash. The Buddhist sect's great art of salvation. Once one was purified, even one's mortal enemy would serve him wholeheartedly, like a puppet. The reason why the Buddhist sects could develop so quickly and be on par with the immortal Tao was because of the purification technique. It was unknown how many demons and great fiends were converted by the Buddhist sects and turned wholeheartedly into protectors and helpers. Furthermore, the Buddhists could not only convert demons and great fiends into their own people, their most devout believers and puppets, but they could also raise their own cultivation. In Mount Shu, Old Monk Sheng was revered because he had enlightened Old Man Sheepy. Not only did he achieve enlightenment, but his fowls and dogs also ascended to heaven. Although Fang Qingshan cultivated Taoist techniques and couldn't use the purification technique to raise his cultivation, it was enough for him to completely make Qiongqi work for him. Thinking about how he had just broken through to the peak of the undying realm, although his foundation hadn't shaken because he had integrated 5 high-grade Tao artifacts, Fang Qingshan felt that it was better to stabilize his foundation first and then break through to the Grotto Heaven realm. Therefore, he wasn't in a hurry to refine the clear sky treasured mirror. Since that was the case, the top priority was to enlighten Qiongqi. Thinking of this, Fang Qingshan was about to release Qiongqi when the alarm in the secret chamber suddenly rang. Fang Qingshan frowned and walked out. Seeing Fang Ling and Feng Baiyu waiting respectfully outside the door, he couldn't help but ask, "What's the matter?" Replying to young master, "The sect master has ordered you to go to the levitation heavenly palace." Feng Ling replied, "Oh." Fang Qingshan raised his brows and secretly pondered Feng Baiyu's intentions. That day, on the heaven punishment platform, although Feng Baiyu had announced that he and Hua Tiandu would become the vice sect master, he took Hua Tiandu away in the end. Although he had broken through to the undying body and even the half-step Grotto Heaven realm, it was almost certain that he could inherit the levitation sect, but Feng Baiyu still wanted to balance things out. It wasn't that he didn't value Fang Qingshan, but he wanted to maximize the benefits of the sect. After all, Hua Tiandu still had the Tianwu treasure vault. If the levitation sect obtained Venerable Panwu's treasures, the entire sect's strength could ascend, especially since there seemed to be a key to open the gate to the immortal world. Fang Qingshan was well aware of Feng Baiyu's thoughts, but he didn't care much. His cultivation was the same as Fang Han's, but he basically didn't rely on the levitation sect. His foundation was the all-heaven chessboard, and with it, he was in an invincible position. Therefore, he didn't care about Feng Baiyu's balance, roping in, or supporting Hua Tiandu. As long as he could obtain tangible benefits, it would be fine. As the first deputy sect master of a levitation sect, luck came rolling in. Now, the only thing that could attract his attention was the yin-yang vacuum Dao. Thinking of this, Fang Qingshan couldn't help but have some guesses in his heart. In the levitation sect, as long as one broke through the longevity realm, he could become the deputy sect master. If he made great contributions to the sect, he could even be taught the great yin-yang technique. However, last time, Feng Baiyu only announced that he would be the deputy sect master, but didn't teach him the great yin-yang technique. Could it be that Feng Baiyu wants to teach me the great yin-yang technique? I know, I'll go now. No matter what he thought, on the surface, Fang Qingshan nodded calmly. He moved his feet and took a step forward. With the Big Dipper technique, he instantly arrived at the levitation heavenly palace. What a greater teleportation technique. As soon as Fang Qingshan appeared, he heard Feng Baiyu's voice. Greetings, Sect Master. Fang Qingshan first bowed, then said, Sect Master, you flatter me. It's just a small trick, not worth mentioning. May I know what Sect Master has summoned me for? The greater teleportation technique is not a small trick. Feng Baiyu shook his head and didn't say much. Today, I summoned you because your cultivation has reached the half-step Grotto Heaven realm, almost certain to be the sect master's successor, and you have made great contributions to the sect. Follow me to the depths of time and space to meet the Grand Elders. Then I will teach you the true great yin-yang technique of the levitation sect. Thank you, Sect Master. Hearing that Feng Baiyu was really going to teach him the great yin-yang technique, Fang Qingshan's eyes suddenly lit up. Seeing this, Feng Baiyu also revealed a smile. Like Fang Han, Fang Qingshan broke through too quickly, and he rarely used the levitation sect's resources. In order to comfort Hua Tiandu in the Tianwu treasury, Feng Baiyu naturally couldn't disappoint Fang Qingshan. Therefore, after making arrangements for Hua Tiandu, Feng Baiyu prepared to bring Fang Qingshan to meet the strongest foundation of the levitation sect, the levitation 3 sages, and teach him the great yin-yang technique. Let's go. Feng Baiyu's glabella flashed, and the Sky Emperor mirror seemed to have 3 eyes. In the blink of an eye, it shot out a ray of crystal light that wrapped around Fang Qingshan and flew into the depths of time and space of the levitation heavenly palace. Chapter 345. Emergence Immortal Palace. In the depths of this place was an illusory and overflowing with an immortal aura. There were many crystal mountains that towered into the clouds. The most shocking thing was that these mountains were all formed from pure yang qi, void crystals, or celestial crystals. The entire space was bright, not because of the pure yang qi, but because of the huge suns in the sky. In the sky above the entire space, there were 3 suns shining in all directions. Although each of the suns couldn't compare to the sun of the vast thousand domains, they were star cores that were about to evolve into stars. These star cores were much more powerful than the dragon, with star cores refined by Taoist Long and Taoist Mu. The golden crow flapped its wings, and heavenly fire burned the plains. The raging flames melted the void. Ordinary 10,000 longevity realm experts would be seriously injured if they got close. These flames gathered in midair to form 3 huge words: Golden Immortal Palace. This was the place where the supreme elders of the emergent sect cultivated. It was also the greatest foundation of the emergent sect. Any elder who had broken through the undying body and reached the Grotto Heaven realm could come here to cultivate in seclusion. After Feng Baiyu abdicated, he would also come here to cultivate. Fang Qingshan followed Feng Baiyu to the depths of the space-time. After sensing carefully, he was extremely shocked. Not to mention that the 3 suns floating in midair emitted an aura that was not inferior to the people of Hongjun Tiandao. On many mountain ranges and mountains, hundreds of auras that surpass the undying body filled the air. What a good emergent sect! No wonder it can be ranked among the top 10 sects of the Immortal Tao, second only to the Supreme Sect. Although Fang Qingshan's expression didn't show it, he sighed at his heart. Just the emergent sect alone has such a strong foundation. What about the Supreme Sect? Fang Qingshan's heart was slightly heavy. The Greater One sect had a celestial artifact and could even communicate with the immortal realm. Compared to the Emergent sect, they were probably even more powerful. He still had a long way to go, and he still had a long way to go. Buzz. Just as Feng Baiyu and Fang Qingshan stepped into the Golden Immortal Palace and surveyed their surroundings, many of the Grand Elders cultivating in seclusion in the mountain range rose to their feet. Their eyes shone like torches as they sized up Fang Qingshan. Most of these Supreme Elders were Grotto Heaven Realm experts, and a small number of them were at the Cosmic Light Realm. There were even a few who had reached the Creation Realm and the Heaven Realm. Hundreds of experts, who were at least at the Grotto Heaven Realm, stared at Lin Fan with burning gazes. Although they didn't release their auras, the invisible pressure they emitted wasn't something that ordinary people could resist. Fortunately, Fang Qingshan had even subdued Qiong Qi, met a golden immortal like Bliss, and even killed a top-notch Earth immortal like Green-Robed Immortal. Therefore, this pressure was just a breeze to him, and he did not feel anything at all. However, in the eyes of the Grand Supreme Elders, Fang Qingshan was completely unaffected by the gazes of the crowd, who were trying to take him down a peg or two. What a good Fang Qingshan. He's really amazing. Whether it was those who favored Fang Qingshan, those who were neutral, or those that didn't get along with Fang Qingshan, everyone couldn't help but have such thoughts at this moment. Greetings, Grand Supreme Elders. When everyone was testing Fang Qingshan, Feng Baiyu didn't make a sound, but at this moment he smiled faintly and greeted. Greetings, Grand Supreme Elders. Fang Qingshan also followed suit and bowed. Greetings, Sect Master. Feng Baiyu was the Sect Master of Emergent Sect, and his cultivation had reached the Creation Realm and even the Heaven Realm. Naturally, no one dared to accept his full greeting, so they stepped aside and returned his greeting. Feng Baiyu nodded, and with a flash of crystal light, he brought Fang Qingshan and flew straight towards the great sun in the sky. The three saints of Emergent Sect, Wang Kunlun, Zhao Xinyang, and Wu Mingkong, were stationed there. They were experts of the same level as Supreme Hun Heaven and Tai Long Heaven. Even if they couldn't compare to Supreme Emperor Heaven, they were at least ancient experts who had cultivated to their own world. With such a disciple, our Emergent Sect will prosper greatly. That's right. Who would have thought that Fang Qingshan had actually cultivated to the half-step Grotto Heaven realm at such a young age? His future is limitless. Even Sect Master Feng didn't have his elegance back then. I almost thought that Venerable Ling Long would be the second. After Fang Qingshan followed Feng Baiyu to meet the three saints of Emergent Sect, the other Grand Supreme Elders began to discuss spiritedly. However, most of them were amazed at Fang Qingshan's cultivation and that Emergent Sect had a successor. As for the group of people who didn't like Fang Qingshan, they didn't say anything at this time. Fang Qingshan was different from Fang Han. His strength had already made all the Grand Supreme Elders feel pressured. Although Fang Qingshan was only half-step Grotto Heaven Realm, and many of the Grand Supreme Elders on the platform were only at the Grotto Heaven Realm, with the speed of Fang Qingshan's breakthrough, who knew when he would break through and be on par with the others, or even better. Moreover, even if Fang Qingshan hadn't broken through, many Grotto Heaven Realm Grand Supreme Elders felt a strong threat from Fang Qingshan. Therefore, even if Fang Qingshan suppressed Hua Tiandu, Fang Han killed Ru Yitzi, Ding Ao, Shihuazi, Sun Shihua, and the others didn't openly target him. One had to know that Ru Yitzi was Sun Shihua's disciple, Hua Tiandu was his grand disciple, and Ding Ao was Sun Shihua's senior brother. Therefore, strength was the key to everything. With strength, one wouldn't dare to say that there were no taboos, but at least they could do whatever they wanted. Even if others didn't like you and had a grudge against you, they would only dare to plot in secret. But without strength, even if you lived with your tail between your legs, there would still be a day when disaster would descend from the heavens. Emergent Sect Master Feng Baiyu brought the Vice Sect Master and true disciple Fang Qingshan to request an audience with the three Grand Supreme Elders. Feng Baiyu led Fang Qingshan into the three-star nuclei, put away the Sky Emperor mirror, and respectfully called out, Although he was the sect master of Emergent Sect, his cultivation was still a bit off from the World King realm. In the cultivation world, strength was everything. Moreover, the reason why Emergent Sect was able to resist the High One Sect was because of these three people. Thus, when Feng Baiyu arrived here, he obediently presented himself. Sectmaster, there's no need to be so polite. The three Emergent Saints first greeted Feng Baiyu. Then, their divine sense constantly swept over Feng Qingshan's body, occasionally letting out exclamations of surprise. Truly, seeing once was better than hearing of 100 times. At such a young age, even Feng Baiyu couldn't compare with him in the past. He had a peak immortal body, half-step into the heavenly passage realm. If he were to grow, it was highly possible that he would become the next revered immortal Ling Long. In the past, if the High One Sect hadn't forced revered immortal Ling Long to rebel against them, then their current strength would have been 10 times or even 100 times more formidable. They would have truly become the strongest sect in the world, suppressing all directions. Not forgetting the past was a good teacher for the future. Because of the example of the High One Sect, the other sects were particularly cautious when dealing with their talented disciples. The Emergent Sect had a disciple like Feng Qingshan, and he also had Feng Qingxue by his side. Feng Han was in existence no weaker than Hua Tiandu, so they needed to be even more cautious. Chapter 346. Zhao Xinyang, what do you think? Wang Kunlun asked. This person's cultivation foundation is solid, and he's improving at a godly speed. His combat strength is formidable, and he has great fortuitous encounters, great willpower, and great karmic luck. If he's able to be used by my Emergent Sect, then there's no need to worry about being unable to surpass the High Solitary Sect. Zhao Xinyang sighed with emotion. Surpassing Supreme Sect is easier said than done. Wu Mingkong said, since antiquity times, the Greater One Sect has been leading the masses and suppressing the world. If it wasn't for the issue of Venerable Ling Long, the entire black-yellow great world would have been suffocated by them. After a pause, he continued, even so, as long as the Greater One Sect has the immortal artifact, the eternal divine furnace, their foundation will not be damaged. Without the immortal artifact, there is no way they can resist. If our Emergent Sect wants to contend against the Greater One Sect, it will be difficult unless we obtain the Gate of Xianpin, an immortal artifact in the Tai Yuan immortal abode. Difficult, difficult, difficult. Even if one's cultivation had reached the level of the three Yu Hua sages, people in the epic realm, they would only be in some danger if the world underwent a great change or a calamity occurred. He roamed the 3,000 great worlds, sweeping through everything before him. He explored many voids and moved about freely in the blink of an eye. When it came to the Greater One Sect, they still spat out the word difficult. From this, it could be seen how great the pressure the Greater One Sect exerted on the other sects and cultivators in the black-yellow great world was. If it was in the past, it would naturally be impossible to catch up, Wang Kunlun said in a slightly fluctuating tone. But now, it's a heaven-sent opportunity. Wang Kunlun, what do you mean? Wu Mingkong and Wu Mingkong asked in unison. Wang Kunlun chuckled. The great calamity of the gods is about to begin. Although it is a great calamity, it is also a great opportunity. After the ancient times, the reason why the Greater One Sect rose to prominence was because of the great calamity of the ancient times. As long as my Ascension Sect grabs hold of this opportunity, we will surely be able to surpass the Greater One Sect and lead the pack. It's easier said than done. Wu Mingkong shook his head. Moreover, under the great calamity, even preserving the legacy is a problem, not to mention catching up. We have to do it, even if it's difficult. Besides, what can't we do? Wang Kunlun's voice was sonorous and forceful, and he emitted the sound of metal. This is an extremely rare opportunity. If you miss it, I'm afraid you won't have another chance in the future. I agree with Wang Kunlun. Zhao Xinyang analyzed. Although the Supreme Solitary Sect has immortal artifacts and a deep foundation, a tall tree also attracts the wind. Under the Great Calamity, they will definitely suffer heavy losses. For a sect to develop, the most important thing is to look at the people. If the Greater One sect had roped in venerable Linglong back then, would we still be here now? And now? Hua Tiandu, Fang Qingxue, Fang Qingshan, Fang Han, Meng Xiaobai, and the others appeared in succession. Hua Tiandu has the Tianwu treasury, Fang Qingxue has the legacy of the Thunder Mother Thunder Emperor, and Fang Qingshan has a mysterious background. Although we don't know what kind of opportunity he has, he is definitely better than Fang Qingxue and Hua Tiandu. Fang Han also has the Yellow Spring treasury, and even the Taiyuan Celestial Palace is inextricably linked to him. Meng Xiaobai has also inherited the ancient lifeless sword sect. So long as we obtain these treasures and all the genius disciples work together, why should we worry that our Ascension sect won't be able to succeed? Work together? Wu Mingkong shook his head and smiled bitterly. How can it be so easy? Fang Han and Hua Tiandu had a 10-year battle of life and death. Not long ago, Fang Qingshan suppressed Hua Tiandu. These geniuses are all arrogant and unruly. Everyone wants to stand out from the crowd, and no one is willing to submit to anyone. Not to mention working together, it's already good enough if they don't kill each other. Although Wu Mingkong and the others have been cultivating in seclusion in the Golden Immortal Palace and basically did not ask about the sex affairs, they still had some understanding of genius disciples like Hua Tiandu, Fang Han, and Fang Qingshan. Because of this, he had no confidence at all. This time, when Ru Yitzi was killed, if it were not for the peerless cultivation that Fang Qingshan had demonstrated, the many great elders below would probably have planned to punish him before he even came to see them. If there was no venerable Linglong story, if there was no Fang Qingshan, maybe it wouldn't work. Wang Kunlun smiled. But now it's not impossible. Because of venerable Linglong's matter, we have to be more cautious. Because Fang Qingshan's cultivation surpasses everyone, if he is appointed as the first deputy sect master, even if Hua Tiandu, Fang Han, Fang Qingxue, and the others are dissatisfied, at least they won't openly oppose it. In this way, our strength can be united. So, you mean we should vigorously cultivate Fang Qingshan now? Wu Mingkong raised his eyebrows. Yes. Wang Kunlu nodded. First, only he can truly suppress the other genius disciples. Second, he has shown potential and ability. Our Ascension sect will naturally cultivate him. Third, this person has a mysterious opportunity. His cultivation has advanced by leaps and bounds, but he rarely uses the sect's resources. Naturally, we need to rope him in, especially when he has disciples like Fang Qingxue and Fang Han. What do you think? After saying that, Wang Kunlun looked around at Zhao Shenyang and Wu Mingkong. In that case, teach him the true void, Yin Yang Dao, and make him the first deputy sect master. Zhao Shenyang thought for a while and said decisively, Okay. Wu Mingkong thought for a while and did not object. Although the three Ascension sages said a lot, it was actually just a confrontation of divine sense, which happened in an instant. Since the decision was made, Wang Kunlun immediately announced on behalf of the three Ascension sages. Fang Qingshan, you are loyal, tenacious, and have great fortune. You can be said to be God's favored one and have made great contributions to the sect. Ascension sect is really fortunate to have you. Today, I will specially promote you to be the first deputy sect master of Ascension sect. You will be taught the Ascension sect's most powerful secret scripture, Ascension Soaring Scripture, True Void Yin Yang Dao. For a moment, this voice, with great pressure, shook the entire space. The Supreme Elders, who had gradually calmed down, shuddered when they heard Wang Kunlun's words. Although it was almost certain that Fang Qingshan would become the first deputy sect master given his strength, they still couldn't help but feel shocked when it actually happened. This was especially true for Sun Shihua's group. They were suffering in silence, unable to voice their bitterness. For the sake of Hua Tiandu, they had joined forces and plotted against him. But in the end, it was all for naught. Now, unless Hua Tiandu's cultivation could keep up with Fang Qingshan's, it was almost impossible for him to compete with him. At the same time, Wang Kunlun pointed his finger at the spot between Fang Qingshan's eyebrows. When Fang Qingshan saw this, he almost dodged it. Luckily, he managed to calm himself down. Following this, a mysterious and boundless intent entered his knowledge sea. This was the Ascension sect's ascension, soaring scripture, and the great yin-yang art. Chapter 347. Yin and Yang were the Tao. Yin and Yang were two sides of the same coin. They hit each other and interacted with each other. Although the two were not fixed, they changed according to the Tao. Both could be the Tao, and both could be the Tao. The Tao had infinite uses. It could be used everywhere. When used, Yin and Yang were fixed. Although the two were fixed, they could change at any time. Hence, it was said, Yin and Yang cannot be separated. The Tai Chi ruled the two. They interacted with each other and transformed into thousands of things. For a moment, Fang Qingshan's mind was filled with the Tao of Yin and Yang. At the same time, the fundamental Tao of the five elements seemed to be activated by the Tao of Yin and Yang. 5 rings of light rose behind his head. They reinforced and restrained each other, showing signs of transforming Yin and Yang. The Tao begets 1, 1 begets 2, 2 begets 3, and 3 begets all things. The 8 trigrams returned to the 5 elements, and the 5 elements returned to Yin and Yang. Yin and Yang combined to form the chaos. Good. Seeing this scene, Wang Kunlun, Feng Baiyu, and Wang Kunlun's eyes lit up. They thought it was amazing that Fang Qingshan had reached this level of cultivation at such a young age. They didn't expect his understanding of the Tao was not weak at all. He had already reached the stage of transforming the 5 elements into Yin and Yang. Looks like this kid is fated to join our emergent sect. Zhao Xinyang stroked his beard and nodded in satisfaction. Even Feng Baiyu couldn't help but make up his mind. It looked like he would have to support Fang Qingshan more in the future. In fact, even without looking at Fang Qingshan's cultivation, if Hua Tiandu hadn't entered the sect early and had the support of the elders, he wouldn't have been able to compete with the Fang family. Hua Tiandu's Tianwu treasury had the key to open the gate to the world of immortals, the key of Desolate God. The Fang family had 3 heroes, each more outstanding than the last. Each of them had a treasure no weaker than the Tianwu treasury. After a while, Fang Qingshan opened his eyes. 2 rays of dazzling divine light shone brighter than the sun. However, they quickly faded and became calm again. He took a deep breath and bowed to Feng Baiyu and the 3 emergent saints, saying, "Thank you, sect leader and grand elder, for your help. I will do my best to revitalize the sect in the future." Good. Although they knew that Fang Qingshan's words might be an exaggeration, the fact that he was able to say such words clearly meant that he felt a strong sense of belonging to the sect. Thus, both Feng Baiyu and the 3 Ascension Saints felt very happy. After giving him a few more instructions and giving him some pointers on the spatial laws, Feng Baiyu left the Golden Immortal Palace with Fang Qingshan. At the same time, in the Pure Sun Mountain range below the Golden Immortal Palace, Deng Ao, Sun Shihua, Hua Tiandu, and the others were gathered together. However, the atmosphere was not good and the entire place was solemn. "Everyone, let's talk. What should we do now?" Sun Shihua said heavily after looking around. "Emergence Tao, sect cultivation path. Of course, I can only walk this path to the end. Weiyang is Tianwal path. Has of Yang of sect, and all of the Tao, and sect elder in Yang said with other sect. Is Weiyang pathway, other yin, other yang is of Yang, is Yang is Yang. Yang other is of Yang. Yang other way. Sai, actually, it's all because Fang Qingshan's strength is too unexpected. That's right. I wonder what kind of opportunity did this person obtain to advance by leaps and bounds. With his current strength, I'm afraid that even we won't be able to easily suppress him. The most important thing now is that even the 3 supreme elders are standing on his side and conferring him as the first deputy sect leader. Even if we have the heart to turn the sky upside down, there's nothing we can do. The other grand elders began to speak one after another, causing Sun Shihua and Deng Ao to frown as they looked at them. These people seemed to have been intimidated by Fang Qingshan. When they were fighting a winning battle, they were always successful. However, once the enemy's strength and influence surpassed their own, their morale would plummet and they would lose all will to fight. Tiandu, what do you think? Sun Shihua asked as he looked at Hua Tiandu, who had a calm expression on his face. As soon as he finished speaking, the others also looked over in unison. They were quite satisfied with Hua Tiandu. This time, they were defeated by Fang Qingshan, but it wasn't his fault. Who would have thought that he had broken through to the half-step heavenly dwelling realm? Therefore, when Sun Shihua asked for Hua Tiandu's opinion, everyone couldn't help but stop and listen attentively. Although we're a step behind, we haven't collapsed yet, Hua Tiandu said calmly. After all, he wasn't an ordinary person. He had great luck and had already walked out of the deterrence of Fang Qingshan. Don't be fooled by his unstoppable momentum. In fact, he's just adding flowers to a brocade and adding oil to a raging fire. Oh, what's the plan? Deng Ao asked hurriedly. Tianwu Treasury, Greater One Sect. Hua Tiandu calmly spat out these two names. Hearing these two names, everyone was stunned. It wasn't that these two names were strange, but they were too familiar. The reason why they had developed so quickly and occupied almost half of the emergent sect was because of these two names. But now, could these two names still help them? Everyone couldn't help but have a question mark in their hearts. Emergent sect is determined to get their hands on Tianwu Treasury, especially the key of the desolate god. This is the key to open the gate to the immortal world. If they want to ascend, they can't do without it. Hua Tiandu looked at everyone's eyes and calmly explained. Therefore, although my value has greatly decreased, Feng Baiyu still has to appease and rope me in, lest I betray emergent sect and rely on Greater One Sect. As for Greater One Sect, they are now like an arrow on a bowstring. They have no choice but to shoot. Exquisite Paradise and Venerable Ling Long are enough to give them a headache. If emergent sect and Fang Qingshan are allowed to grow, even if they have the eternal immortal furnace, I'm afraid they won't be able to keep their title as the #1 sect in mysterious yellow great world. Therefore, the better Fang Qingshan performs, the more support Greater One Sect will give us. After all, they have no other choice. Speaking of this, Hua Tiandu was brimming with confidence. Good. Seeing this scene, Sun Shihua, Deng Ao, and the other supreme elders couldn't help but cheer. Now, even though they were at a disadvantage, if Hua Tian could pull himself together, as he had said, they might be able to turn defeat into victory and catch up with them one day. On the path of cultivation, although one had to take a step forward, one shouldn't fight for a moment's advantage, because the one who laughs last is the one who laughs the best. Then what should we do now? Sun Shihua asked. Avoid their sharp edge. Hua Tiandu said, now that they are gaining momentum, let's not compete with them. Wait for me to go to Greater One Sect, then we'll settle the score with them when I come back. Hua Tiandu raised his head and looked into the distance, as if he was looking at Greater One Sect or the All Heavens Peak. Chapter 348 All Heavens Peak. Fang Qingshan returned from the Golden Immortal Palace and went into the secret chamber again. Although everyone recognized him as the first deputy sect master ever since he was appointed as the deputy sect master, he did not have the right title. This time, the three emergent sages appointed him as the first deputy sect master at the same time, and his luck was further enhanced. In particular, he was given the levitating soaring scripture and yin-yang vacuum Dao, which allowed him to see the mysteries of yin-yang. Although his cultivation realm and combat power did not improve. However, the mutual transformation of the 5 elements and yin-yang allowed Fang Qingshan to further understand the Dao. In the current emergent sect, unless he inherited the position of sect master, there was basically nothing else that could catch his attention. Therefore, although he was appointed as the first deputy sect master, countless elders and disciples came to court every day to curry favor with him. But Fang Qingshan ignored them and left them to Fang Han and Fang Qingxue to deal with. Fang Qingshan remembered a saying that the fist was power. Clenching the fist was power. Punching the fist was power. As long as he had strength, he would naturally have influence. As long as his strength continued to improve, his influence would naturally rise. On the contrary, if he was not strong enough, then even if he had a monstrous influence, it would still collapse. Therefore, he did not manage his influence. In the secret chamber, Fang Qingshan waved his hand and threw Qiongqi out. He should have enlightened him earlier, but he refused until now because the sect master summoned him. Qiongqi greets master. Qiongqi was originally locked in a space in the Tree of World by Fang Qingshan and sealed with the Tai 5 smokes net. It was like returning to the Holy Emperor's tomb. The only difference was that there was no offensive restriction formation here. Similarly, without Fang Qingshan's permission, he could not leave and his strength could not be restored. He had to lower his head when he was under someone else's roof. Therefore, as soon as Qiongqi appeared and saw Fang Qingshan, who it hadn't seen for a long time, a fierce glint flashed across its eyes. It didn't bother to take another breath of spiritual qi and bowed to Fang Qingshan respectfully. Although Fang Qingshan did not notice the fierce glint in Qiongqi's eyes, he knew that once Qiongqi got the chance, he would definitely suffer a fate worse than death. "Do you know why I called you out this time?" Fang Qingshan asked indifferently. "Qiongqi does not know, master. Please explain." Qiongqi shook his head. "Release your spirit," Fang Qingshan instructed. "Release my spirit." Qiongqi was suddenly alarmed. Although he had separated a strand of his primordial spirit for Fang Qingshan to control, it was only a temporary measure. As long as his cultivation recovered to a certain level, he would be able to break free from Fang Qingshan's control. "Master, Fang Qingshan was a Qiong Fang Qingshan. God." Qiong Fang Spirit Qingshan said, "God." Qiong Qingshan Qi's Fang Spirit, King Spirit, Qiong Master, Fang Qingshan Qi, Fang Master. Master, Master Qioli not to Spirit, Master as Sect, King, naturally it's to better control you, Fang Qingshan said indifferently. "You have a strand of my spirit in your hand, which is enough to make me beg for death. Isn't that enough?" Qiongqi's heart skipped a beat. "Of course not," Fang Qingshan said firmly. "My cultivation level is much weaker than yours after all. Once you recover your cultivation level, this wisp of essence soul will be useless. Therefore, I need to completely expiate you so that I can be completely at ease." "Purify me completely?" Qiongqi's eyes widened and his voice trembled. "No, you can't." "You can't? That's not up to you." Fang Qingshan sneered. He opened his mouth and spat out a miniature version of Qiongqi. He then performed a series of hand seals on it. Then, he made a series of hand gestures, and the method to control the spirit was immediately activated. "Ah!" A shrill scream came from Qiongqi's mouth. He held his head with his hands, and his veins were exposed. He grimaced in pain and covered his head with his hands. He kept rolling on the ground, twitching all over, and hitting the ground with his head. It was so painful that he could neither live nor die. At first, Qiongqi gritted his teeth and held on. However, after 15 minutes, an hour, and half a day, he could not hold on any longer. He was already seriously injured, and if he continued to be tortured like this, his foundation would be damaged, and he might not be able to recover. Of course, the most important thing was that the restriction was too torturous, and he could not cry for help. "I'm willing to let go of my spirit. I'm willing to let go. Stop, stop. I'm willing to be purified." Qiongqi could not hold it in any longer, and he roared with a hoarse voice. "That's right. As long as you sincerely let me purify you, we will be one in the future. You can restore your strength boldly without worry, and I can also use you boldly without worry." Fang Qingshan laughed and stopped torturing Qiongqi. He sat down cross-legged and used the one qi-turning Sanqing. Two doppelgangers, one black and one white, walked out of his body, and with a thought, he threw the devouring sky demon emperor and Fan Qingying out. In an instant, The five surrounded Qiongqi and used the great expiation technique at the same time, chanting the expiation scripture. Then, an endless river will pour down and washed away. In an instant, the entire secret room seemed to have become a blissful Buddhist land. Surrender, expiation, surrender, transcendence. An indescribable, true meaning of expiation descended in the secret room. Countless bodhisattvas, shadows, chanted scriptures in the light, and Sanskrit sounds rang out. Runes flew out from the mouths of Fong Qingshan and the others, forming a huge sound wave. Endless Buddhist light shone down, and Qiongqi's spirit was wrapped in it. The sound of the evening drum and morning bell came from the void, and waves of Buddhist lotus fragrance spread out, rippling in the void. Qiongqi's face showed a painful expression at the beginning, but as the Buddhist light and scripture seeped into his natal spirit bit by bit, it began to slowly become peaceful. From the outside to the inside, it was like the golden body of Buddhism, and the entire spirit seemed to be plated with a layer of gold. The great expiation technique could not attack or defend. The reason why it could still be ranked in the top 100 of the 3,000 Great Tao was because of this expiation technique. Regardless of whether you were sincere or not, as long as you did not resist and were purified, the final result was that you would be willing to die. Although Qiongqi did not resist, it was not easy to expiate him. After all, he was still the source of a golden immortal. Fong Qingshan and the others could only use their efforts to slowly penetrate him bit by bit. 1 day, 2 days, 10 days, half a month, half a year, 1 year. Fong Qingshan used an entire year to finally expiate Qiongqi completely. But at a certain moment, Qiongqi's face revealed a look of enlightenment. He stood up and sighed with emotion. He bowed to Fong Qingshan and said, "The affairs of the world are like a dream. How many autumns have there been in life? Everything that happened in the past is like yesterday's death. Everything that will happen in the future is like today's life. Thank you, fellow Taoist Fong, for pulling me out of the mortal world. From today onwards, I will serve you with all my fellow Taoists to atone for my sins." Chapter 349. Enlightening Qiongqi would not only resolve an unstable factor, but he could also rest assured that Qiongqi would recover its strength. Once Qiongqi recovered its strength, it would definitely become a trump card in his hands. Furthermore, this trump card was a trump card that could last for a long time. It was enough for him to use before becoming a golden immortal. He sent Qiongqi into the heavenly lake, where spirit power and immortal qi gathered. It was the best place to recover its strength. Fong Qingshan took out the 5 Hell King cauldron and prepared to refine the Tai 5 smoke net again. The quality of Dharma treasures was not the quantity. Just like how Fong Qingshan had refined the all-heaven sword, he had combined the pure Yang flying sword, the serpent slaying sword, the great chaos thunder sword, and the celestial arch sword into one. Not only had he restored the power of the celestial arch sword, but he had also surpassed it. Fong Qingshan was prepared to combine the Tai 5 smoke net and the 5 peach blossom miasma. Actually, it was not considered a combination. To be precise, it should be using the Tai 5 smoke net to devour the 5 peach blossom miasma. In the secret chamber, Fong Qingshan sat on the futon with the 5 Hell King cauldron in front of him. He communicated with the earth fire and activated the array. Fong Qingshan sat steadily. His eyes were bright, and fine and dense seal scripts appeared in his eyes. They were constantly rearranging and combining, outlining the divinations, deducing how to perfectly fuse the 2 magical treasures together. Fortunately, not only was Fong Qingshan's cultivation level incomparable to when he had refined the All-Heaven Sword, but he had also obtained the Primordial Chaos Sutra, the Heavenly Book of Flesh, and other Tao books. He had a better plan by analogy. In addition, he was only fusing 2 Dharma treasures, and the Tai 5 smoke net was far superior to the 5 peach blossom miasma, so it was much simpler than refining the all-heaven sword. At a certain moment, Fong Qingshan seemed to be ready. He flicked his finger, and the Tai 5 smoke net flew out of his sleeve. Buzz! There was a slight tremble, and 5 colorful clouds appeared, big and small. They floated and sank, gathering and dispersing. At the same time, the 5 peach blossom miasma appeared and slowly unfolded. Tut! Fong Qingshan grunted softly. Both of his hands formed a series of hand seals that danced in the air. Under the infusion of transcendence energy, the Tai 5 smokes net expanded with a loud rumble, wrapping around the 5-cloud peach blossom miasma. Rumble. The 5-cloud peach blossom miasma immediately resisted. Although it did not have an artifact spirit, as a Tao artifact, its spirituality was naturally not weak. As long as its spirituality remained, it would not surrender without a fight. However, the peach tree that was covered in fallen petals suddenly transformed into Granny Tree Demon. Her roots rose from the ground and turned into long whips that lashed at the Tai 5 smoke net like colorful poisonous dragons. It was a pity that the 5-cloud peach flower miasma was a defensive treasure. Even though it possessed offensive capabilities and was extremely poisonous, it was still far inferior to offensive treasures and killing treasures. In addition to the problem of grade, the 5-cloud peach blossom miasma was far inferior to the Grand Unity 5 smoke net. Most importantly, the 5-cloud peach blossom miasma was personally refined by Fong Qingshan. Thus, even though the magic treasure spirituality was instinctively resisting, it could not reach the point of a life and death struggle. Therefore, the struggle of the 5-cloud peach blossom miasma did not have much effect at all. Fong Qingshan raised his eyebrows and gathered his dermic powers. There seemed to be thousands of arms behind him, each forming a seal and striking at the Grand Unity 5 smoke net, the 5-cloud peach blossom miasma, and the 5 Hell King's cauldron at the same time. However, the effects were very different. The technique landed on the Grand Unity miasma of 5 smokes, causing it to shine brightly. 5 streams of smoke transformed into 5 chains, binding the miasma tightly. Furthermore, the chains grew tighter and tighter. At the same time, thin needles that looked like tree roots stabbed into the peach tree, devouring its essence power bit by bit. The light on the 5 Hell King's cauldron dimmed instantly. The entire peach tree that was originally very beautiful seemed to have withered at this moment. Under the devouring of the Grand Unity 5 smoke net, it kept making cracking sounds. As for the 5 Hell King's cauldron array formation, its power was pushed to the maximum. It shook for a while, and the patterns on it were vivid and lifelike. The flames in the cauldron grew larger and larger, and the silvery white light shone brightly in the sky. A terrifying force was rising, becoming stronger and stronger. As time passed, the 5-cloud peach blossom miasma was quickly devoured by the Grand Unity 5 smoke net. Rumble. As time passed, the 5-cloud peach blossom miasma no longer had the strength to resist. The peach blossom on the peach tree became fragmented and slowly melted into the 5-colored smoke clouds. Rumble. With the infusion of the origin power of the 5-cloud peach blossom miasma, although the Grand Unity 5 smoke net did not begin to transform again, its foundation was strengthened. Smoke clouds appeared, and space folded. At a certain moment, Fong Qingshan flicked his finger, and a pitch-black sack-like object that looked like a pearl and a ball was thrown out. Sizzle, sizzle. As soon as it was tossed through the air, wisps of inky black gas intermingled with wisps of colorful light erupted forth, clashing with the Grand Unity 5 smoky net barrier, resulting in a sizzling sound akin to a hot soldering iron being plunged into cold water. This was the poison sac that Fong Qingshan had obtained from the Wind Spider when he had snatched the Heaven Essence Fire Spirit Pearl. This thing was highly poisonous, no less than the 1,000-year-old miasma of the Rotten Peach Mountain. As soon as it appeared, it tried to corrode the defense of the Grand Unity 5 smoke net. However, it obviously did not cause much damage to the Grand Unity 5 smoke net. The Grand Unity 5 smoke net was originally a defensive treasure. It could not only defend against sharp weapons such as knives, spears, swords, and halberds, but also blunt weapons such as hammers, axes, and sticks. It could even defend against spells such as water, fire, poison, and thunder. Moreover, with the 5-cloud peach blossom miasma integrated, the Grand Unity 5 smoke net's resistance to poison was further enhanced. Not only could poison not cause him trouble, but it was also a tonic. After a long time, perhaps a day, perhaps a year, Fong Qingshan suddenly opened his eyes. The fire was extinguished, the formation of the 5-hell king cauldron was closed, the poison sac disappeared, and the 5-cloud peach blossom miasma disappeared. There was only a cloud of smoke floating above his head. It was multicolored and vast like the ocean. Vast, majestic, ever-changing, and everlasting. A type of supreme treasure power was produced, surging and impassioned, not the slightest bit inferior to the heavenly swords. Good. Feeling the changes in the Grand Unity 5 smoke net, Fong Qingshan could not help but nod in satisfaction. Although the Grand Unity 5 smoke net was still not comparable to Feng Baiyu's Sky Emperor Mirror or Emergence Sex Emergence Heavenly Palace, in terms of defense, it was not inferior to them. Offense and defense were one. From now on, what Fong Qingshan needed to do was to continuously smelt all kinds of heavenly treasures into the All-Heaven Sword and the Grand Unity 5 smoke net. Next, it's time to refine the Hao Yin treasured mirror. The space between Fong Qingshan's eyebrows flashed, and a treasured mirror that looked like 3 eyes flew out. By refining the Hao Yin treasured mirror, he would obtain a treasure that was not weaker than the Sky Emperor mirror. At the same time, he could comprehend the law of space and make preparations for breaking through to the Grotto Heaven realm. Gently touching the Hao Yin treasured mirror, Fong Qingshan took a deep breath, opened his mouth, and spat out a mouthful of vital energy. Then, he began to refine the mirror. Chapter 350. A treasured mirror floated in the air. It was neither gold nor jade, neither stone nor copper, and he did not know what it was made of. The back of it was densely packed with images of celestial beings, cloud dragons, and strange birds. They looked like relief sculptures, but there was no trace of them when one touched them. It was neither engraved nor painted, but it went deep into the bone, which was very surprising. Looking at the surface of the mirror, at first glance, it was rippling with a warm brilliance. Illuminate the entire world. The black water below overflowed, deep and serene, hanging diagonally in the sky, stretching for 1,000 lead death energy, corpse energy, resentment energy, poison energy, ghost energy, and many other things formed sinister devils. Their furious roars could be heard in all directions, truly a boundless purgatory. Above, there were 6 heavens of the desire realm, 18 heavens of the lust realm, 4 heavens of the colorless realm, 4 heavens of the Brahma realm, Sanxing realm, and Daoyuo realm, a total of 36 heavens, made of colored glass, decorated with precious jade. The heavens suppressing marshal, the pillar of support, the golden armored deity, holding a halberd and a whip, it was the sacred scenery of the jade pool of the heavenly palace. The east was a blessed land for immortals, a Taoist paradise. It absorbed the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, absorbed the essence of the sun and moon, visited the Yellow Palace, worshipped the Sanxing, traveled the North Sea in the morning, and went to the vast sea in the evening. It was a place where friends from the 3 mountains and 5 peaks could be found. The west was a pure land of Buddhism, a world of pure bliss. Sounds of Sanskrit and chanting could be heard continuously. On the golden lotus platform, under the Bodhi tree, in front of the 8 treasures pond of merit and virtue, one could think about the past, comprehend the present, understand the future, and become a Buddha. Of course, these phenomena were all illusory. They were merely recreating some scenes from the past through the power of space. Although the clear sky treasure mirror wasn't the one in the Jade Emperor's hands, it was still refined by the human sovereign. Renhuangs were favored by the fortune of heaven and earth. Even the saints had to give them some face. Thus, he used the mirror to observe the 3 realms, and everyone let him be. In any case, he was only looking at the surface, and it didn't touch the core. Moreover, the power of the mirror wasn't that great. However, it was enough for Fong Qingshan. The precious mirror was hung high up in the air, releasing a myriad of brilliant lights. Fine and dense seal characters swirled about, communicating with an inconceivable power. As Fong Qingshan refined the clear sky treasured mirror's restriction, his soul imprint seeped in little by little. He began to carefully sense the changes in space. Among the 3,000 great Taoists, time was supreme and space was king. As one of the top grand Taoists, the grand Tao of space possessed boundless might. Of course, it was extremely difficult to comprehend it. Fortunately, Fong Qingshan had already cultivated many spatial sacred arts. Great slicing art, great demolition art, void escape sword art, great teleportation art, and even great devouring art could be considered a type of spatial sacred art. Moreover, because of the all-heaven chessboard, Fong Qingshan had to travel through space tunnels from time to time to communicate with the myriad worlds. Even though it was due to his realm and cultivation, it still left traces in his mind. Now, with the clear sky treasured mirror as a carrier, the various comprehensions of the past surged into his mind. Together with the spatial mark in front of him, they began to transform into Fong Qingshan's law cultivation. Bit by bit, like fireflies, they slowly converged into a trickle. The space wall, which was originally as bright as a glass mirror, suddenly made a cracking sound. Then, like dominoes, with a point as the center, it began to spread out like a spider web. But in a flash, the entire space exploded with a loud bang. Space shattered, with a tearing sound, like a sword light illuminating the world. A blazing white crack of unknown length and unknown direction suddenly appeared. At first, it was like a strand of hair, but in the end, it was like a ferocious dragon. On it, there were jagged but similarly sharp, protruding teeth. Space cut. Boom! The mountains collapsed and the earth cracked. The sky collapsed and the earth caved in. Without the slightest precaution, and without any hesitation, it just appeared in front of him. There was no preparation for the fragmentation of space, and it was different from the extension of space when it was cut. It only collapsed with a loud bang, forming a black vortex. Together with the unknown ultimate, it swallowed all the power that could be swallowed. Space collapsed. Space shift. Space freeze. Space acceleration. Space, the entire clear sky treasured mirror, seemed to have become a kingdom of space. All the laws of space evolved. A rain of flowers, golden clouds, wind, water, fire. Everything appeared in space, changing at any time, changing endlessly. Fong Qingshan was immersed in the great Tao of space, his mind wandering, his heart becoming one with the Tao. At the same time, it was not only Fong Qingshan's comprehension of the laws of space that was increasing bit by bit. The great cut technique, the great demolition technique, the great teleportation technique, and other space-related abilities also rose in level, releasing resplendent splendor. Ding! It was unknown how much time had passed. Perhaps it was an instant, perhaps it was an eternity. The treasured mirror let out a clear ring, awakening Fong Qingshan from the great Tao of space. At this moment, his expression was haggard, and his body was exhausted. Even his primordial spirit was a little dispirited. Those who did not know would think that he had overindulged in debauchery or had been plucked. Only a pair of eyes shone like the sun and moon, shining brilliantly. The reason for this situation was actually closely related to Fong Qingshan's comprehension of the great Tao of space. Comprehending the great Tao sounded very lofty and wonderful at first glance. Speaking of comprehending the great Tao, the first thing that came to mind was Buddha becoming a Buddha under the Bodhi tree. However, there were two sides to everything in the world. There were good and bad. Yes, once one succeeded in comprehending the great Tao, the rewards would naturally be bountiful. One could even ascend to the heavens in a single step. However, the prerequisite was that one had to succeed. If one did not hear of the great Tao, one could die in peace in the morning. Although this was said to be a thirst for the great Tao, if one was really completely immersed in the great Tao, then one might really not be far from death. There was no such thing as a free lunch. There were gains and losses. It was the same for cultivation and comprehension. Comprehending the laws seemed to be gaining, but one was also expending it. It was just that what one expended was the power of one's primordial spirit. This kind of thing, as long as it did not exceed a certain limit, would not cause any harm to one, so it was not noticeable. However, once one was immersed in the great Tao and could not wake up, the consumption of one's primordial spirit would be too great, and that would be the end. The final result was Tao transformation, becoming one with the great Tao. Fang Qingshan's current situation was a little too much consumption, and his primordial spirit was dispirited. Fortunately, the clear sky treasured mirror woke him up in time. Otherwise, the other treasures would have been used, such as the universal heaven chessboard and the minor destiny art. Sigh, I'm still lacking a little. After adjusting his breathing and recovering slightly, Fang Qingshan could not help but sigh. The clear sky treasured mirror did not disappoint him. After refining and comprehending it, his great Tao of space had a qualitative improvement. Unfortunately, Fang Qingshan's improvement was too fast, which allowed him to advance to the undying body. Although his foundation was not unstable, he was still lacking a little opportunity to advance to the grotto heaven realm. I've been in seclusion for such a long time. Now that I've refined the 9 suspicions cauldron, I'll go out and take a look. The path of cultivation was a cycle of tension and relaxation. Fang Qingshan decided that after refining the 9 suspicions cauldron, he would come out of seclusion and wander around, looking for opportunities to break through to the grotto heaven realm. Chapter 351. Just as Fang Qingshan was in seclusion to enlighten Qiong Qi, refine the Tai 5 smoke net, and refine the Haotian treasure mirror to comprehend the law of space, wanting to break through to the Tao insight realm. The whole black-yellow great world was in a state of turmoil. First of all, Hua Tiandu, who had already recovered from the blow of Fang Qingshan, went to the Greater One sect to lobby and once again received support. Daoist Hun Tian was still in seclusion, and the one who received him was Tang Jingshan, the Ascension sect's enforcement elder. He was also the expert with the undying body who had his arm severed by Ying Xiantian when he fought against the innate demon sect. Just as Hua Tiandu had predicted, the Greater One sect had no other choice now. If they wanted to suppress the emergent sect, and if they wanted to create a shocking conspiracy against the emergent sect, then it was necessary to win over Hua Tiandu. Whether it was because they wanted to use Hua Tiandu to deal with the emergent sect, or to use Hua Tiandu to get a share of the Tianwu treasure house, it was necessary to support Hua Tiandu again. Therefore, this time, Hua Tiandu not only received the promise of the Greater One sect, but also an immortal pill, the heavenly splendor pill. Only the Greater One sect, who had the eternal divine furnace, could have the ability to refine immortal pills and be so rich. However, what they didn't know was that all their actions were seen by Feng Baiyu through the heavenly emperor mirror. Of course, the Greater One sect might know, but they didn't care and used an overt plot. If the emergent sect dealt with Hua Tiandu because of this, it was obviously pushing Hua Tiandu to the Greater One sect. If they didn't deal with Hua Tiandu, they would try to win him over, divide, disintegrate, and drive a wedge between them. Feng Baiyu knew the purpose of the Greater One sect at a glance, but he simply ignored it and even wanted to beat them at their own game. In the end, it all depended on who was more skilled. In addition, Fang Qingshan was appointed as the first deputy sect master of the emergent sect, and he had broken through to the half-step heavenly realm at a young age, and seemed to be the second venerable Linglong. This matter had gradually subsided. Just like news, there was always a time limit. Furthermore, Fang Qingshan had not shown himself for a long time, leaving everything to the sect. As for Fang Qingxue and Fang Han, as time went by, these people would not be able to see him in person, so they would naturally lose interest. Not long before Fang Qingshan came out, Fang Qingxue and Fang Han left the emergent sect together. Fang Qingshan asked around and made some deductions. After thinking about it, he concluded that Dragonwood Star was about to appear. Speaking of Dragonwood Star, this could also be considered a valuable treasure. It was originally a star near the black-yellow Great World, occupied by Priest Long and Priest Mu, two powerful beings at the level of Wang Shou, and founded their own sect. After that, the two of them worked together to refine Dragon with Star's core, preparing to forge it into their trump card. The astral core of Dragon with Star lived up to everyone's expectations. Once the astral core appeared, it would be equivalent to a high-grade Dao artifact. In fact, it might even be able to become a peerless grade Dao artifact. It was just that Priest Long and Priest Mu were too unlucky. In addition, the two of them were too careless. As a result, when the astral core appeared, there was a commotion everywhere. The Greater One sect, the Emergent sect, the Netherworld Devil sect, and so on all wanted a piece of the pie. If the ruler was not secretive, he would lose his subject. If the subject was not secretive, he would lose his life. If the matter was not secretive, he would be harmed. That was why a gentleman was cautious and did not come out. Therefore, the two of them were doomed to a tragic end. Even if it did not fall into Fang Han's hands, they would most likely fall into the hands of the Greater One sect and the Netherworld Devil sect. Dragonwood Star? Fang Qingshan did not say anything at first. Suddenly, his heart skipped a beat and his expression changed. He remembered that this time, Fang Qingxue and Fang Han met the current leader of the Netherworld Devil sect, Su Xiui. They were hit by his great reincarnation technique and almost died. Humph! Fang Qingshan snorted coldly. He tore the space in front of him and took a step forward. In an instant, he moved the stars. Fang Qingshan's great teleportation technique was originally learned from the heaven-hating emperor. Now, with his understanding of the great law of space, he was even more proficient. In a short while, he arrived outside the black-yellow Great World. After determining the direction, he flew toward the Dragonwood Star. At the same time, Fang Qingxue and Fang Han were stopped by Su Xiui. Su Xiui, the descendant of a Netherworld emperor, was the strongest expert of the Netherworld Devil sect. He was the leader of the Yamahal. His original body was in the 5th or even the 6th of the longevity realm. He was not weaker than Feng Baiyu. He also had the Book of Life and Death, an ancient celestial artifact, which was comparable to Feng Baiyu's Heavenly Emperor Mirror. The reason why the Greater One sect did not launch a large-scale attack on the Netherworld Devil sect was because of him. This time, the reason why Su Xiui appeared here was not because of the Dragonwood Star. His target was Fang Han. If the Book of Earth Emperor devoured Fang Han's diagram of the Netherworld, it could not only restore the grade of the celestial artifact, but also cut off the Netherworld Emperor's fate. From then on, the Netherworld Devil sect would belong to him. He could even open the Netherworld's treasure vault and soar to the sky. He could even complete the Great Han Yuan and establish the Demon Realm. In order to deal with Fang Han, although Su Xiui did not come with his original body, he disturbed Venerable Ling Long and prevented her from helping him. He also sealed the blessed land of 5 elements to cut off Fang Han's escape route. At the same time, he used 5,000 years of his lifespan to create a doppelganger. The doppelganger was powerful, and at least in the Grotto Heaven realm. At this moment, Fang Qingxue and Fang Han were stopped by his doppelganger. Before Fang Qingxue and Zhao Fu, there was a scholarly-looking man. His eyes were like stars, and he was dressed in pure black clothes with a black ribbon tied around his head. However, his skin was extremely white, and his fingers were thin and long. Every single one of them was incredibly exquisite. He was holding a book with both hands and exuded a scholarly aura. He had a handsome face. If anyone looked down on him because of that, they would be in big trouble. This was because an extremely terrifying aura could be sensed from his body. It was a power that Fang Qingshan was in a hurry to obtain, but lacked the opportunity to do so. It was the power of space. Fang Han, just surrender. Su Xiui said to Fang Han calmly, I've messed up the heaven's secret. Whether it's Venerable Ling Long, Feng Baiyu, or Demon Monarch Scarlet Abyss, none of them will know. They won't come to save you either. I've sealed the passage to the blessed land of 5 elements, so don't even think about escaping. Destiny? Humph! I, Fang Han, have never believed in destiny. My destiny is up to me, not the heavens. Fang Han snorted. If he believed in destiny, he would not have dared to secretly learn martial arts as a servant of the Fong family. If he believed in destiny, he would not have dared to challenge Hua, Tiandu, and face the Greater One sect. Fong Han was walking on a path that defied heaven and changed his destiny. Therefore, it was wishful thinking to attack him spiritually. However, he first showed the Dharma form of heaven and earth, then protected the 4 ancient giants by his side. Then, he shook his hand and took out the diagram of Underworld. The gate of Avicii was hanging behind his head, the bridge of helplessness was under his feet, and the 8-divisional pagoda was above his head. He held the 7-kill sword with both hands and slashed at Su Xiui. Chapter 352. Kill the heavens, kill the earth, kill humans, kill gods, kill ghosts, kill Taoism, kill oneself, kill everything in the world. A soul-piercing killing intent came before the 7-kill sword. Although the 7-kill sword was only an upper-grade doctrine artifact, it was much more lethal than the Great Chaos Thunder Sword and the Pure Yang Flying Sword. After all, it was a sword designed for killing. Even the diagram of the underworld could not compare to it before the wheel of reincarnation was opened. The sword chi was like frost, and the killing intent was like blood. For a moment, the whole space was filled with killing intent. The air was filled with frost, and there was a strong smell of blood and white. Anyone who saw it would have goosebumps. Fong Han had used all his strength in this attack. Even Su Xiui was amazed. Of course, it was mainly because of the 7-kill sword in Fong Han's hand. Even so, Fong Han had underestimated Su Xiui, especially an expert who had a defensive treasure. Su Xiui's clone was already at the Grotto Heaven realm, which was more powerful than Fong Qingshan. Although Fong Han could challenge those at a higher level, he could only suppress those at the longevity realm and resist the immortal body. He could only run away from those at the Grotto Heaven realm. Most importantly, Su Xiui had the Earth Emperor's book in his hands. This treasure was even stronger than Fong Qingshan's Tai 5 smoke net. Even though it wasn't physically present, it was only a projection. Fong Han felt like he was standing on top of his head and was invincible. Facing Fong Han's attack, Su Xiui seemed so careless. When the 7-kill sword was about to reach his head, he suddenly stretched out the hand holding the book and waved it up. Clang! The sound of metal clashing was heard, resounding through the sky like a huge bell. The 7-kill sword, which could split apart the yellow river diagram of the 9 bends with a single slash and kill an ancient giant with a single slash, was actually blocked by an earthen yellow book. It did not move, and there was not even a ripple. It's good, but the person who used it is not so good. Su Xiui glanced at the 7-kill sword. It's a waste for it to fall into your hands. Give it to me. As soon as he finished speaking, Su Xiui shook the book of life and death in his hand and rolled it toward the 7-kill sword in Fong Han's hand. Fong Han's 7-kill sword, which he had been using all his strength, showed signs of falling out of his hands after being swept by the Earth Emperor's book. He couldn't help but be shocked. Freeze! Fong Han roared and moved his Dharma power. 2 domains appeared, the ancient demon realm and the pure land of ultimate bliss. They were added to the 7-kill sword at the same time. Only then did he manage to stabilize the situation. Stubborn fool. Seeing this, Su Xiui could not help but shake his head, as if he was very disappointed. Suppress. Su Xiui threw the Earth Emperor's book, which instantly suppressed Fong Han. It was exactly the same as when Fong Qingshan used the All-Heaven chess piece. A world immediately suppressed Fong Han. The only difference was that even if Fong Qingshan used the Great Ruler's world as a chess piece, the projection of the boundless world was still incomparable to the world projected by Su Xiui's Earth Emperor's book. This was because this was the black-yellow Great World. Although it was also a boundless world, it was just like humans. Some people had become immortals, while others were still mortals. The Great Ruler's world was actually considered a relatively high-level boundless world. However, compared to the black-yellow Great World, it was undoubtedly much worse. There were 3,000 great worlds in the immortal world, and the black-yellow Great World was one of them. Although it seemed to be declining now, even the boundless world and other worlds had caught up. However, in ancient times, when a world tree had not been cut down by the divine race, the black-yellow great world was second to none. Heaven and earth black-yellow, universe desolation. Since it dared to be named after the black-yellow great world, it naturally wouldn't be too bad. Even now, the black-yellow great world was still a place where a starving camel was still bigger than a horse, and a strand of hair was thicker than a waist. However, when the Earth Emperor's book unfolded, it was like a beautiful mountain and river, expanding, expanding, and expanding. There were 33 layers in the sky, which were connected to the starry sky. There were 18 layers on the ground, which were all boundless purgatory. There were mountains, rivers, and earth, plants, and living creatures. Cold came and went, autumn harvested, and winter hid. Vast, shocking, endless, ancient, primordial, epic, Fong Han's willpower almost collapsed under the suppression of all of them. Damn it, Rise. Fortunately, Fong Han was not an ordinary person. The stronger the enemy, the more he could stimulate his potential. In less than 1,000th of a second, Fong Han came back to his senses. His body shook, and the 8-divisional pagoda entered his body. With the support of the diagram of the underworld, he turned into a monstrous giant. His feet stepped on the ground, and his hands held up the sky. Unfortunately, it seemed to be a little overwhelmed. The heaven and earth Dharma idol was directly pressed into his body, unable to come out. The 8-divisional pagoda trembled as if it was about to fall out, and his whole body seemed to be about to explode. Fong Han was shocked and quickly asked Yin to use the diagram of the underworld to protect his head. He was now the same as Fong Qingshan in the past. He was at the peak of the 10,000 longevity realm and was half a step away from the immortal body. Other than his head, his whole body already had signs of the immortal body. Even if he was destroyed, he could be reborn from a drop of blood. Therefore, as long as his head was not destroyed, there would be no major problems. Alas, why are there always people who don't turn back until they hit the wall? Seeing this, Su Shui could not help but sigh and shake his head. He moved his hands and performed a magic art. Buzz! The black-yellow great world above Fong Han's head suddenly became clear. It turned out that Su Shui was communicating with the underworld, opening a void passage, and breaking through the void to absorb the primordial chi of the black-yellow great world. Crack, crack! Fong Han and the diagram of the underworld both made cracking sounds. They were compressed by the pressure and collapsed, bringing with them endless pain. Accept your fate. When I combine the diagram of the underworld and the book of life and death into one and upgrade them to a fairy weapon, I will open the treasure vault of the underworld, become an immortal, surpass the emperor of the underworld, and open the boundless demon realm. I will never forget you. Su Shui's voice sounded in Fong Han's mind like a demonic voice. The power of destiny is above the heavens. With the power of destiny, I will prevent the Earth Emperor's book from communicating with the black-yellow great world, and let the Earth Emperor's book get out of Su Shui's control. At this moment, Fong Qingshue's voice sounded. It was bright and vast, shaking the world and shaking fate. An indescribable, unknown, and irresistible power came from the underworld. Little Destiny's skill. The passage opened by Su Shui closed instantly, and the Earth Emperor's book was about to fly away from his control. Damn it, what's going on? This was the first time Su Shui had encountered such a situation. He was shocked and quickly used his great power to stabilize the Earth Emperor's book. When he came to his senses, he saw Fong Qingxue and Fong Han crossing the void with the bridge of helplessness, getting ready to escape. Chapter 353. Run? How naive. Seeing Fong Qingxue and Fong Han's actions, Su Shui was furious. Good Lord, he had personally made a move. He had deceived the heavens, sealed the space tunnel, congealed a grotto heaven realm clone, and even projected the Earth Emperor's book. If he still let Fong Qingxue and Fong Han escape, he would be too ashamed to show his face. There is life and death, and there is reincarnation in the world. I am the Yama King, in charge of life and death. Reincarnation, reincarnation. Great reincarnation skill, appear. Su Shioi shouted. His eyes were filled with dense runes, communicating with incredible power. One black and one white, one yin and one yang, one life and one death. Su Shioi shook his body, as if he really became the Yama King in charge of life and death in the 18 levels of hell. He held the book of life and death in his left hand and the judge pen in his right. His robe was covered with thousands of ghosts. Yin and yang, reincarnation of life and death. A layer of dim light rose from the back of Su Shioi's head. It was half white and half black, with the head and the tail connected. It looked like a yin and yang fish or a millstone of life and death. This roulette was simple and unadorned, mysterious, dignified, and noble. There were 6 passageways on it that led to an unfathomable world. Tens of billions of symbols were engraved on it, continuously moving about. The reincarnation cycles of millions and millions of creatures ended here, yet obtained new life. The reincarnation wheel, Yin, the spirit of the diagram of Underworld, was the first to scream, because there was a wheel of samsara within the Nether Springs diagram that was practically exactly similar to it, and it was refined by the Nether Spring Grand Emperor all those years ago. How is it possible? This is the great reincarnation skill of the Emperor of Underworld. The treasure vault of Underworld hasn't been opened yet. Where did you learn it? Su Shioi. What a joke. Su Shioi couldn't help but scoff at Yan's roar. The great reincarnation skill of the Emperor of Underworld? If he could create such an earth-shattering divine ability, he wouldn't have died. The great reincarnation skill is the origin of the world, just like the great destiny skill, the great wish skill, and the great 5-element skill. They all came from the gate of eternal life. The Emperor of Underworld was only the inheritor. Since he could inherit it, so can I. While Su Shioi was refuting Yin, the great reincarnation skill was not idle. As the roulette spun, the whole world seemed to be distorted. All the souls seemed to have sensed the summons. Hundreds of millions of ferocious ghost faces appeared like a walking horse. Vaguely, they seemed to hear the dirge of the Yellow Springs. Although Fong Han had the 8-divisional pagoda, the underworld diagram, and the world tree to protect his head, at this moment, he felt like he was defenseless. His soul was lost. At this moment, Fong Han felt like he had fallen into the cycle of reincarnation. Thousands of reincarnations had caused his soul to completely fall. Damn it, what's going on? At this moment, Fong Han finally understood how Su Shioi felt when facing Fong Qingshue's minor destiny skill. His magical items were useless, and his divine abilities were useless. This was the first time he had ever been struck by someone else's divine abilities. Furthermore, his soul had been severely damaged, and he was in extreme danger. Fong Han wanted to struggle, but like a soul struggling under the bridge of helplessness, it was completely useless. The power of destiny is above the heavens. With the power of destiny, I will prevent Fong Han's soul from falling into the cycle of reincarnation. At this critical moment, Fong Qingxue stood up again. Her sonorous voice was like the judgment of the gods. Her words were the law, and it was the golden rule. This power again. What the hell is this? As Fong Qingxue chanted, a mysterious and noble power instantly pulled Fong Han back from the cycle of reincarnation. Su Shioi's expression suddenly changed. This power could almost make the Earth Emperor's book go out of his control. Now, it could even restrain the great reincarnation skill. It was simply his nemesis. How could Su Shioi not be alarmed? Fong Qingxue, let's make a deal. Su Shioi suddenly changed his expression and said in a pleasant tone, "One who is unaccountably solicitous is hiding evil intentions." Fong Han said with a livid face. Fong Han had never suffered such a big loss since he started his career. If it wasn't for Fong Qingxue, he would have failed miserably. How could he, who was not broad-minded in the first place, not bear a grudge? As long as you give me this secret skill, I will let you go today. How about that? Su Xiui ignored Fong Han and said to Fong Qingxue seriously. From Fong Qingxue's secret technique, he sensed the power of fate and even fate itself, which greatly surprised him. However, on second thought, although it was unexpected, it was reasonable. After all, in the heavens, the only thing that could restrain the great reincarnation skill was the power of destiny, which had never been seen before. Other karma and wishes would not work. If he could obtain this secret skill related to destiny, and if he could comprehend the great way of destiny from it, he would be excited just thinking about it. Even if it couldn't make people immortal, it would still be of great help to him in establishing the demon realm. You really want the minor destiny skill? Fong Han sneered. Without saying anything, he picked up the 7-kill sword and slashed at Su Xiui. What do you think? Su Xiui stood where he was and let Fong Han attack him. Although the 7-kill sword was sharp, it was useless if it couldn't hit Fong Han. After all, Su Xiui was in the Tao Insight state and could control the law of space. Although they seemed to be in the same space, he could change spaces at any time. The attack of the 7-kill sword couldn't hit him at all. Naturally, it couldn't hurt him. No one can escape from destiny. Billions of voids and countless worlds can't escape the entanglement of destiny. In the name of destiny, cut off the incarnation of the soul. Fong Qingxue didn't answer Su Xiui's question. Instead, she took action to replace her refusal. All of a sudden, the power of destiny came. There was nowhere to hide, nowhere to run. Reincarnation couldn't avoid it, and space couldn't resist it. Su Xiui was directly dragged out of another space by the power of destiny and fixed on the spot. You refuse a toast only to drink a forfeit. Su Xiui snorted. Do you think I can't do anything to you? As long as I capture you, with my great reincarnation skills control over souls, no secret can be hidden from me. Really? At this moment, a voice that was hard to tell whether it was happy or angry was heard. Then a stone bridge, which was simple and gorgeous like the bridge of helplessness, spanned the east and west and observed the north and south, extended from afar. Everyone looked in the direction of the voice and saw a man who looked like a Buddha, a divine king, and a divine venerable walking over. He had 5 halos behind his head. Third master, third brother. Seeing the man, Fong Han and Fong Qingxue exclaimed at the same time. Their voices were filled with joy. At the same time, they finally felt relieved. Chapter 354. Grotto Heaven? No, half-step Grotto Heaven. Seeing Fong Qingshan and feeling the space fluctuation that was about to overflow from his body, Su Xiui's expression froze at first, then he relaxed. Then he thought of how Fong Qingxue and Fong Qingshan addressed Fong Qingshan. He couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. Third brother? Third young master? Are you Fong Qingshan, the first deputy head of the emergent sect? Fong Qingshan glanced at him first, but didn't answer his question. He glanced at Fong Qingxue, shook his head, and smiled. Big sister, you advised me not to use the minor destiny skill so frequently. Look at you now, my little brother is so powerful. If I don't work harder, I'm afraid I won't even be able to catch up to you. Hearing this, Fong Qingxue couldn't help but smile faintly. Suddenly, the atmosphere of the entire space seemed to have changed. It was as if the winter had suddenly come to the season where the grass was growing and the nightingales were flying. Hundreds of flowers were blooming. Fong Qingshan was stunned for a moment. When he came back to his senses, he saw Fong Han and Su Xiui staring at Fong Qingxue. He couldn't help but chuckle and tease her. Big sister, it seems that you'd better keep a straight face. Otherwise, as he spoke, Fong Qingshan pointed at Fong Han and Su Xiui with his finger. Fong Qingxue glared at Fong Qingshan fiercely and became expressionless again. She glanced at Su Xiui and Fong Han's faces, which made Fong Han and Su Xiui shiver as if they had been thrown into an ice house in the middle of winter. Seeing this, Fong Qingshan could not help but smile, but it disappeared in a flash. Then, he turned his head to look at Su Xiui. Su Xiui, the Yama Temple master of the Netherworld Devil sect, the first person after the Emperor of Netherworld. He owns the Earth Emperor's book, learned the great reincarnation skill, and established the Great Han Yuan. He wants to establish the demon realm, so that all the people who practice the demon realm will not ascend to the immortal realm, but to ascend to the demon realm and dream of eternal life. Su Xiui's pupils shrank slightly when he heard Fang Qingshan's words had covered his basic information. You're very bold. You actually dared to attack Fang Han and my big sister. Do you know how death is written? Fang Qingshan's voice was flat, as if he was talking about something normal. But Su Xiui was so angry that he almost laughed. In recent times, Fang Qingshan had indeed made a name for himself. He got rid of the Hongjun Tiandao hunting order of the Greater One sect, broke through to the half-step heavenly dwelling realm at a young age, and became the first deputy sect master of the emergent sect. He was also known as the successor of Venerable Ling Long. He simply got whatever he wanted. However, this was only a representation of his potential and not his true strength. Su Xiui didn't know where Fang Qingshan got the courage to say that he didn't want to die. Who was Su Xiui? Because of him, the Netherworld Devil sect didn't collapse after the death of the Emperor of the Netherworld. Although they gave up the position of the first sect of the Diabolism, even the Greater One sect didn't dare to attack them with full force. Moreover, he obtained the Earth Emperor's book, a fairy artifact of the Earthly Emperor, which was one of the 3 ancient emperors. Although it was a supreme doctrine artifact, it was still superior to the diagram of the Netherworld refined by the Emperor of the Netherworld in terms of essence and power. Recently, he was preparing to send out hero invitations to the Primordial Devil sect to challenge Ing Xiantian and take back the title of the first expert of the Devil sect. Su Xiui also announced that he was going to establish the Devil Realm in the Great Han Yuan, so that all the people who cultivated in the Devil Realm could ascend to the Devil Realm in the future. He wanted the Devil Realm to be on par with the Immortal Realm. Facing such a person, Su Xiui had to admit that Fang Qingshan, a rising star, dared to say such words to him in such a tone. Su Xiui had to admit that he was extremely bold and reckless. He was not interested in talking nonsense with Fang Qingshan. Although Fang Qingshan was in the half-step cave world, and his cultivation seemed to be almost the same as his doppelgangers, the slightest mistake could lead to a great error. Su Xiui believed that it would be easy for him to defeat Fang Qingshan. Nirvana of the world, reincarnation of all living beings, soul sinking generation after generation. Su Xiui's voice was like the chanting of all the gods in the world. With Su Xiui's chanting, the reincarnation wheel appeared again. A wheel, a world, and even the heavens belonged to the 6 realms. It was the home of the soul and the end of the world. Anyone who didn't jump out of the 3 realms and the 5 elements would be bound by the reincarnation. The wheel rotated slowly, and the 6 passages emitted 6 kinds of fluorescent lights. Some of them were like the paradise fairyland. Some were like the mortal world. Some were like killing. Some were like the boundless purgatory. Some were like ghosts crying and wolves howling. And some were like living a life worse than death. However, no matter which one it was, it would make people drown in it and reincarnate for thousands of lives. The great reincarnation method. This method was really powerful, but it was a pity that Su Xiui was only using a doppelganger. Although Fang Qingshan's cultivation was a little lower than his, it wasn't as big as he had imagined. Moreover, Fang Qingshan had a precious treasure to protect himself. The all-heaven chessboard trembled slightly and made a pleasant sound like a spring. It pulled Fang Qingshan back in an instant. I've seen the Great Wish method, the Great 5 Elements method, the Great Disaster method, the Great Yin-Yang method, and even the Power of Fate. Today, I'll try how powerful the Great Reincarnation method is. Fang Qingshan shook his sleeves and took a step forward. Suddenly, something that looked like a star or a chess piece appeared under his feet. It doesn't touch yin and yang, and it doesn't belong to the 5 elements. The past can be changed, but the present can't be imprisoned, and the future will be doomed. As Fang Qingshan displayed his skill, the entire space was filled with a loud and clear voice that was deafening to the point that even the deaf could hear. A chessboard was formed under Fang Qingshan's feet. It was a net, and it was the veins of the chessboard. The stars were scattered all over the place, and they were the chess pieces of all the heavens. Fang Qingshan walked leisurely. With every step, a star and a chess piece appeared. He moved back and forth, regardless of the past or the present. Although the great reincarnation method was powerful, at this moment he encountered a problem that made him feel cold. He was right in front of him, but his attacks couldn't reach him. The Linglong Daluo Heaven. That's right, the divine ability that Fang Qingshan had just unleashed was none other than Linglong Grand, overarching heaven. It was just a Linglong Daluo Heaven that was taught in accordance with one's aptitude. Fang Qingshan combined his chessboard of all the heavens with the way of the 5 elements, which was more suitable for him. Although it was only a preliminary integration, it also had the will of a Daluo Heaven, which could control all time and space and be eternal and free. I also have a millstone. Lord Su, please have a look. It was impolite not to reciprocate. After dodging Su Xiuyi's great reincarnation method, Fang Qingshan wouldn't just take the beating without fighting back. He stood on the chessboard and made a movement of immemorial Tai Chi with both hands. The 5 halos behind him instantly left his body and evolved into a 5-colored millstone in the air, crushing towards Su Xiuyi's reincarnation plate. Chapter 355. The 2 wheels overlapped and rolled toward the samsara wheel like a millstone that could destroy the world. It was colorful and everlasting, evolving everything in the world. It rotated clockwise. There was chaos below. Earth, wind, water, and fire reappeared. The chaos of the world rotated counterclockwise. There was a whirlpool in the middle, like the origin or the source of the end of the world. As the millstone rotated, the whole world was distorted. Anything in front of the millstone would be crushed into pieces by the torrent of history. Not time, not fate, not karma, not natural reincarnation. Crack, crack. The air, which had been slightly distorted because of the 2 wheels' rotation, suddenly collapsed. The vacuum was shattered, and the void was destroyed. The layers of void faults were as thin as cicadas' wings, and they were penetrated one after another. The 6 paths were destroyed, and the reincarnation was destroyed. How is this possible? Su Xiuyi was naturally affected when his magic power was broken. His spirit, qi, and spirit were instantly weakened, as if he had suffered a violent blow. He kept retreating. His feet stepped in the void, like a drum being beaten by the heavens. The sound of the drum echoed through the sky. However, he was in no mood to pay attention to this. He couldn't figure out why his samsara wheel was destroyed by Fang Qingshan. He was in the Grotto Heaven realm, while Fang Qingshan was half a step away from the Grotto Heaven realm. He was in the Grotto Heaven realm, and his great reincarnation method was second only to the great destiny method, the great karma method, and the great wish method. It was even above the great 5 elements method. Besides, he had been practicing and comprehending the magic power for far longer than Fang Qingshan. Why was his samsara wheel crushed by Fang Qingshan? Not only Su Xiuyi, but Fang Qingxue and Fang Han also opened their eyes wide. Before Qian Qingshan's arrival, the 2 of them had used all their skills, but Su Xiuyi had put them in a difficult situation, even putting them in a dangerous situation. Fang Qingxue was ready to use the minor destiny skill to fight desperately. Upon seeing Fang Qingshan's arrival, the 2 of them heaved a sigh of relief. However, they only thought that with Fang Qingshan around, they would be able to escape with their lives. They didn't expect Fang Qingshan to be so powerful. He even destroyed Su Xiuyi's samsara wheel with a wave of his hand. So he has already reached this level. Seeing this scene, Fang Qingxue and Fang Han could not help but mutter to themselves. In fact, it was normal that they couldn't figure it out. Although there was a gap between Fang Qingshan's cultivation and Su Xiuyi's clones, it wasn't big. The greater 5 elements art was indeed below the great reincarnation art. However, the problem was that Fang Qingshan was not using the greater 5 elements art. Instead, He had fused the five elements Tao of the Shushan world into his own five elements Tao. Besides, although the Great Five Elements technique was inferior to the Great Reincarnation technique, it didn't mean that the Great Five Elements technique was inferior to the Great Reincarnation technique. 3,000 Great Ways. Do not dare to say that they are equal. At least the gap between the top 10 is small to the limit. Maybe because of the origin of the immortal world, perhaps only the Great Destiny method is clearly higher than the other 3,000 Great Ways. Most importantly, although Su Xiui had obtained the Great Reincarnation skill and spent more time and energy on practicing it than Fang Qingshan, it didn't mean that the power of the skill should be greater. The Great Reincarnation technique was different from the Great Five Elements technique. It involved time, space, and the soul. Truly comprehending it was not an easy task. What about Fang Qingshan? Because the way of the five elements is the foundation of the construction of a world, is easy to learn, but difficult to master, but he took the shortcut. He refined all kinds of treasures of the five elements and spiritual objects of the five elements. And many of these spiritual objects and treasures were top-level configurations. If Su Xiui himself had come, it would not have been a big deal. It was reasonable that a doppelganger he condensed was crushed. Take advantage of his weakness to kill him. Su Xiui's face was full of surprise and disbelief. Fang Qingshan was not surprised, nor did he stay idle. After crushing the reincarnation plate, the five elements millstone continued to roll towards Su Xiui like a wheel. Damn it! His eyes were sharp and his ears were sharp. Although Su Xiui was stunned for a moment, the chi of the five elements millstone was so powerful that he came to his senses as soon as it moved. As the millstone passed by, the world turned into ruins, completely turned into nothingness, and collapsed crazily, turning into the earth, fire, water, and wind, turning into the endless power of destruction. It swept in all directions. The world was silent. Su Xiui's expression changed. Different from Fang Han's attack, Fang Qingshan's cultivation had involved space. Therefore, even though he was in many layers of space, he still felt his heart palpitate. He moved his body and tried to escape. However, it was not that easy. The five elements millstone locked onto a target and sealed the space. It was impossible to escape, except for facing it head-on. Earth Emperor's book, protect me. Seeing that he could not escape, Su Xiui was not flustered, because he still had the Earth Emperor's book, a supreme grade defense Tao artifact. He quickly took it out. Buzz. As soon as the Earth Emperor's book was unfolded, it was like a splash ink landscape painting. The whole black-yellow great world was revealed, including the sun, moon, stars, mountains, rivers, and earth, all kinds of creatures, day and night, and the four seasons. The Earth Emperor's book was simply a copy of the Earth Emperor's book in Xinyuanzi's hands. The only difference was that the Earth Emperor's book was formed by the fetus membrane of the Desolation world, which was much more powerful than the black-yellow great world's origin power. Even so, as long as it was in the black-yellow great world, it was almost invincible. This was probably the reason why the Greater One sect did not attack the Netherworld Devil sect with full force after the death of the Netherworld Emperor. Other sects would not just watch the Greater One sect destroy the Netherworld Devil sect, except for the fact that the teeth would be interdependent. The main reason was that the Netherworld Devil sect worked hard. Su Xiui had the Earth Emperor's book with him, in the black-yellow great world. Unless the Supreme Emperor Heaven used the eternal celestial furnace, it would be impossible to achieve their goal. However, doing so would cause too much of a commotion. Pulling one hair would affect the whole body, and the gains might not make up for the losses. Divine light flowed, and a strange phenomenon rose. The five elements millstone crushed the projection of the Emperor's book, making a squeaking sound. However, the Earth Emperor's book was the Earth Emperor's book after all. Even if it was just a projection, its defense was still unparalleled. Destroy. Seeing this scene, Su Xiui could not help but heave a sigh of relief. However, he heard Fang Qingshan's soft voice. In an instant, the five elements millstone suddenly stopped and exploded with a loud bang. Everyone's vision went black, and they could not hear anything. After a while, there was a burst of dazzling light, and a deafening sound was heard. The colorful light was as dazzling as the Milky Way. Each and every one of the colorful jade needles exploded with a terrifying power of extreme destruction. Great Five Elements Extermination Needle. Of course, the power of this divine ability had also improved. Boom! Like the sound of splitting the sky, a spatial storm swept across the whole place. The Earth Emperor's book was not the original body, so its defense was broken in the end. It exploded into pieces and turned into fluorescent light that dissipated between heaven and earth. No! Then, the power of destruction rushed towards Su Xiui without losing any momentum. His soul was destroyed, and he was annihilated. Chapter 356. The Earth Emperor's book is destroyed. Su Xiui is dead? When everything calmed down and the dust settled, Fang Qingxue, Fang Han, and even Yin and the others stared at the empty space in front of them in disbelief. It's the projection of the Earth Emperor's book and Su Xiui's clone. Fang Qingshan corrected him, then sighed with emotion. It would be great if I could suppress Su Xiui and get his great reincarnation technique and Earth Emperor's book. To be honest, Fang Qingshan really wanted to go to the underworld devil sect when he had this thought. After all, he had Qiongqi as his trump card. Although Qiongqi's cultivation hadn't recovered, there were very few people below the Earth immortal realm who could compete with him. Although Su Xiui was powerful, he hadn't even reached the World King realm. The only problem was the Earth Emperor's book. This was also the reason why the Greater One sect didn't make a move. Fang Qingshan didn't know if Qiongqi could break the Earth Emperor's book with the All-Heaven Sword. Sigh, it seems like I still don't have the ability to do whatever I want. Fang Qingshan sighed and threw the thought to the back of his mind. Qiongqi was indeed his trump card. As long as it wasn't those old monsters who opened the gate to the celestial realm, or those with celestial artifacts, or those who ganged up on him, no one could threaten him. However, it was still an unattainable task for him to travel unhindered. Even Su Xiui wasn't sure if he could take it, let alone the Greater One sect. The road ahead is long, and I will continue to search. Fang Qingshan shook his head. If he could get the Earth Emperor's book from Su Xiui, Fang Qingshan's Tree of World would make a fortune. Ever since Fang Qingshan merged with the fragment of the World Tree from Hongjun Tiandao Pavilion and the 9-section cane, the Tree of World continued to grow. Especially after Fang Qingshan broke through to the longevity realm and opened the gate to the celestial realm, the Tree of World's growth sped up. But compared to devouring the fragments of the World Tree, this speed was no different from the speed of a turtle. If he wanted to reach the growth rate of a fragment of the World Tree, he would have to spend hundreds or even thousands of years just by devouring the immortal world's vital energy. If he could obtain the Earth Emperor's book, things would be completely different. Although the World Tree was the source of all wood, its growth could also be nourished by top-notch water and soil, just like other trees. Even though the Earth Emperor's book wasn't a top-notch Earth attribute treasure like the living soil, it could communicate with the source of the black-yellow Great World. The Earth Emperor's book contained all the power of the Xianhuang Great World. The World Tree grew by absorbing the power of the Xianhuang Great World. Absorbing the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, the essence of the sun and moon. The sky referred to the immortal realm, and the earth referred to the black-yellow Great World. The spirit Qi referred to the pure yang of the immortal realm, which was the source of the black-yellow Great Land. If he couldn't obtain the Earth Emperor's book in a short period of time, the fastest way for the World Tree to grow would be to devour the original fragments of the World Tree. It was just that the fragments of the World Tree weren't easy to find. If he hadn't intercepted Fang Han, he wouldn't have been able to obtain them. Now, Fang Qingshan only knew of 2 fragments of the World Tree. One was the key of the Rage God in Hua Tiandu's Tianwu Treasure Vault, and the other was the half of the World Tree in the Void God World. The half of the World Tree in the Void God World was out of the question, but the key of the Rage God in the Tianwu Treasure Vault was worth a try. Countless thoughts flashed through Fang Qingshan's mind, and he sighed deeply. He turned his head and looked at Fong Qingxue and Fong Han. Big sister, Fong Han, it's time for the two of you to make a breakthrough in your cultivation. It's better to rely on yourself than to rely on others. The tribulation is coming, and if your cultivation can't keep up, you won't be able to get anything. It'll be lucky if you don't get crushed by the tribulation. I know. Thank you for your reminder. Third young master. Fong Qingxue and Fong Han looked at each other and nodded their heads solemnly. Even if Fong Qingshan didn't say it, what happened today was a wake-up call for them. If Fong Qingshan hadn't come suddenly, the best outcome today would have been Fong Qingxue burning up her lifespan, and they would have escaped. Once her lifespan was exhausted, there would only be one outcome. This was the best outcome. The worst outcome was that even if Fong Qingxue burned up her lifespan, they wouldn't be able to escape and would fall into Su Xiui's hands. That would be beyond redemption. Lean on a mountain, and the mountain will fall. Lean on water, and rely on people. Fong Han originally thought that with Venerable Ling Long and Demon Venerable Scarlet Yuan behind him, he would be able to grow step by step. Now it seemed that he was still too young. It's good that you know. Fong Qingshan nodded and asked, "What's your plan next? Do you want to go back and cultivate in seclusion, or do you want to travel around and look for opportunities?" "I'll go to the emergence sect to cultivate in seclusion," Fong Qingxue said first. This time, if it wasn't for Fong Han, she wouldn't have come here. She had obtained the spirit of the grand chaos thunder sword and integrated it with the inextinguishable lightning. Her path to immortality had been opened. Moreover, once Fong Qingxue broke through to immortality, she would be able to awaken the memories of the Mother of Lightning. She might be able to surpass Fong Qingshan, Fong Han, and Hua Tiandu in one fell swoop. Once she broke through, she would have an immortal body. "I'll look for opportunities again," Fong Han said after thinking for a while. "In that case, let's part ways here. I'm going to look for my opportunities too." Fong Qingshan didn't agree. He waved his hand at the two, took a step forward, and disappeared in an instant. Fong Qingxue and Fong Han looked at each other and said goodbye. Fong Qingxue went straight back to the small celestial realm to cultivate in seclusion, while Fong Han chose a direction to travel in. At the same time, in the depths of the black-yellow great world, there was an underground world. It was desolate and miserable. There was no sunlight, and there was no sunlight. There were many demon palaces, and celestial demons were flying everywhere. There was even a great Azura demon, which among the earth demons. There was a city with the words City of the Wronged written on it. Those who didn't know better would think that it was the 18 levels of hell. In fact, it was the lair of the netherworld devil sect. In the depths of the City of the Wronged, in the endless space, there was also a mysterious space hidden in layers of space, just like the golden immortal palace of the Ascension sect. It was the core of the netherworld devil sect. However, at this moment, the atmosphere here was not good. It could even be said that it was extremely depressing. Su Xiui stood up slowly. He stared in the direction of the dragon, Wood Star, with a piercing gaze. His gaze was filled with coldness. "What's wrong?" A bearded man looked at Su Xiui in confusion. This man was the Senluo Temple Lord of the Netherworld Devil Sect, Ba Liming. He asked curiously, "Did you catch Fong Han?" "No." Su Xiui glanced at him coldly, which made Ba Liming feel like he had fallen into an ice cellar. After a moment of silence, he said in a hoarse voice, "Fong Han and Fong Qingxue have escaped. Fong Han and Fong Qingxue have escaped. My doppelganger and the projection of the Earth Emperor's book have been destroyed." Chapter 357. What? Are you kidding me? Ba Liming didn't seem to have recovered from Su Xiui's soul-freezing stare. He blinked and picked his ears as if to say, "Don't lie to me." Su Xiui stared at him expressionlessly, but he couldn't suppress the anger in his eyes. The murderous aura around him was clanging. Only then did Ba Liming realize what was going on and screamed, "Is this true? How is this possible?" "Yes, how is this possible?" In order to capture Fong Han, Ba Liming fought Qi Rongtian. Su Xiui used the Earth Emperor's book to reverse the heavenly secrets and seal the space in a land of 5 elements. He even used 5,000 years of his lifespan to form an incarnation and projected the Earth Emperor's book there. It could be said that everything was prepared and everything was taken care of. However, Su Xiui was telling him that Feng Han and Feng Qingxue were unscathed, while his clone and the projection of the Earth Emperor's book had been destroyed. If he didn't know that April Fool's Day existed, Ba Liming would have thought that today was April Fool's Day. What a joke. Although Feng Han and Feng Qingxue were powerful, they could at most deal with the longevity realm and contend with the undying body. Moreover, such longevity and undying realm experts were at most people with top-notch aptitude. When faced with those heavenly favored immortal giants, they could only preserve their lives at best. Who was Su Xiui? He was the most brilliant figure in the Netherworld Devil sect after the Emperor of Netherworld. He was comparable to the people of Hongjun Tiandao, Feng Baiyu, a Khanate existence. Even though he formed an incarnation, he was at the Grotto Heaven realm and had the projection of the Earth Emperor's book. He couldn't figure out how Feng Han and Feng Qingxue could be so powerful. Could it be Venerable Ling Long or Demon Venerable Scarlet Abyss? Ba Liming guessed. No. Su Xiui shook his head and spat out 3 words. Feng Qingshan. Feng Qingshan? Ba Liming was no longer a Spartan. Of course, he knew who Feng Qingshan was, but when he connected Feng Qingshan with the fact that Su Xiui's doppelganger had been destroyed, his brain capacity was not enough. You mean to say that Feng Qingshan saved Feng Han and Feng Yuan and destroyed your doppelganger? How is this possible? Ba Liming had seen Su Xiui's doppelganger before. His doppelganger was one of the best in terms of both strength and equipment. However, with such strength, he was utterly defeated by Feng Qingshan, a rising star who had not even reached the Tao Insight realm. Ba Liming felt that his worldview had been refreshed. It took Ba Liming a long time to digest the news. Looking at Su Xiui, who was like a pile of gunpowder that was about to explode, Ba Liming hesitated and asked, "Then what are you going to do next? What should we do?" If he could, of course, Su Xiui would like to take action right now and capture Feng Qingshan, Feng Qingxue, Feng Han, and the others with interest. After all, Feng Han's diagram of the underworld, Feng Qingxue's secret method that could communicate with fate and the power of fate, and even Feng Qingshan's secret were all coveted. However, just like how Feng Qingshan wanted to go to the Netherworld Devil sect to capture him, he could only think about it. Feng Qingshan was different from Feng Han and Feng Qingxue. He was now the first deputy master of the emergent sect. Not to mention him, even in the Greater One sect, no one mentioned the Hongjun Tiandao hunting order. If he insisted on taking action, it would be a declaration of war against the emergent sect. No one would do such a thankless thing. Didn't the Greater One sect give up? This was the first reason. The second reason was that Feng Qingshan was a bit evil. Su Xiui remembered that a few years ago, when Feng Qingshan was at the same cultivation level as Feng Han, the Greater One sect's people from Hongjun Tiandao had dealt with him personally, but he escaped. At that time, the people from Hongjun Tiandao had attacked casually and did not even use 1/10 of their strength. But he was afraid that they were not weaker than the doppelganger. At that time, Feng Qingshan had the strength to protect himself, not to mention now. Feng Qingshan was only in the half-step Grotto Heaven realm. But through the sharing of doppelganger, Su Xiui felt that Feng Qingshan's strength would not be weak even in the Grotto Heaven realm. What's more, he only used his divine sense today and did not even use a doctrine weapon. Su Xiui did not believe that Feng Qingshan did not have a powerful doctrine weapon. Moreover, the most important thing was that Su Xiui vaguely realized that if he left the Netherworld Devil sect and chased after Feng Qingshan, he might encounter unpredictable dangers. The heaven's design showed blood red. That was why he didn't dare to cross the line and could only suppress the anger in his heart. Let's put this matter aside for now. Su Xiui suppressed his anger and said to Ba Liming, "The most important thing now is to take back the title of the first in the Devil sect." Sent a letter of challenge to Ing Xiantian, saying that 1 year, 6 months, and 3 days later, he will challenge the innate great emperor at the holy mountain of diabolism, Song Mountain. While Su Xiui and Ba Liming were discussing, Fang Qingshan had already left the black-yellow great world for the everlasting world. He was not going for the limitless Star Palace. After all, the limitless Star Palace was more powerful than the Greater One sect. In addition to the fairy weapons, there were also patriarchs of the magnates. Fang Qingshan did not want to go there. He came to the everlasting world for a fierce beast called the Soul Eater. Although the beast was not fully grown, it was more terrifying than the ancient giants in the Longevity Secret Land. It was an ancient fierce beast on the same level as the Tao Tai and the Kuanpeng. It ate the souls of living creatures to increase its strength. Of course, this was not the most important thing. After all, Fang Qingshan had Qiong Qi, one of the 4 fierce beasts in the world. The reason why Huang Xiaolong was interested in this sacred soul devourer beast was that this sacred soul devourer beast had once plotted against an elder of limitless Star Palace and obtained a map of the Tianwu treasury. The black-yellow Great World was one of the 3,000 Great Worlds. When it was at its peak, there were many experts such as the 3 sovereigns, Hongming Taoist, the World Tree, and so on. They even resisted the attack of the God race. Although the black-yellow Great World had declined, no one dared to look down on it. Many powerful sects in the Great Worlds were plotting to get a piece of the cake from the black-yellow Great World. The limitless Star Palace was no exception. If Fang Qingshan could obtain the map of the Tianwu treasury, he could cooperate with Fang Han and use the Great Desolation Ancient Furnace to open the Tianwu treasury in advance. Not only would he be able to catch the others off guard, but he would also be able to obtain more benefits for himself. Just the key of the desolate god alone, if he allowed the World Tree to devour him. Even a Cosmic Light Realm expert would not be able to resist it, let alone a Paradise Realm expert. Chapter 358. Near the boundless world, in the boundless starry sky. Many planets revolved around the limitless world like satellites, scattered all over the place. At a certain moment, streaks of shooting stars suddenly flashed past, shaking down the stars. They were fast and graceful, extremely beautiful to look at. Taking a closer look, those were not meteors at all. They were clearly airships. It was called the Space Shuttle, a peerless treasure artifact made from void crystals and other spatial treasures. It could travel back and forth in the starry sky and was a must-have artifact for traveling, exploring, and escaping. The only pity was that it was a luxury item. Every teleportation would consume 100 pure yang pills, which was a shocking price. Also, the space shuttle would collapse after teleporting 1,000 times. It could no longer be used. Not long after, the Starry Sky Shuttle stopped near a planet called Coiled Dragon Star. The cabin door opened and many men and women with powerful auras walked out. Every one of them wore robes that flickered with stars. Their auras were stable, and their heads were overflowing with starlight. It was as if they were connected to the boundless starry sky and stars. With a single glance, one could tell that they were disciples of famous sections. There were almost 100 people, all of them Golden Core Realm. It was unbelievable in the Xianhuang Great World. One had to know that before the rise of Fang Qingshan and the others in Emergent Sect, only the 5 true disciples of East, West, South, and Central were in the Gold Core Realm. These disciples surrounded a man like stars surrounding the moon. Although this person's cultivation was not comparable to Wan Lianshan, Jiao Fei, and the others who were on the Xuanhuan Great World's Longevity Reserve list, his cultivation had reached the 9th level, the Heaven and Earth Dharma Idol. His foundation was extremely solid, and he was quite majestic. Circles of starlight flickered behind his head, and within the starlight, a Star King could be vaguely seen floating. This person was called Wang Fulong, a disciple of the Limitless Star Palace's Big Dipper Hall. The Limitless Star Palace was the most powerful force in the boundless world. They were the most powerful, and all the other forces had to bow to them. Compared to the Greater One Sect status in the Xianhuang Great World, the Limitless Star Palace was much higher. Those who obeyed them would prosper, and those who opposed them would die. And not to mention the hidden strength, just the strength on the surface, Limitless Star Palace was enough to crush the Supreme Sect. The Greater One sect could suppress the Xianhuang Great World mainly because they had an immortal artifact, the eternal immortal furnace. The Limitless Star Palace also had one. It was called the Primordial Chaos Everlasting Diagram. The Limitless Star Palace was arranged according to the number of Zhoutian's star. There were 360 halls, and every hall master had an undying body. His disciples were not golden core cultivators, not true disciples, not deva beings, not intersect disciples, and not divine abilities. They would not even be accepted as outer sect disciples. According to the information I received, the soul devourer sacred beast is in this star. Everyone, be careful and set up the formation. Others will run away. Wang Fulong lowered his head and looked at the planet in front of him. He saw dense primeval forests, mountains, rivers, lakes, and land. There were cities in between, and the world of mortals roiled about, population and roads. Although it was not comparable to the empires like the Great Li dynasty in the Xianhuang Great World, it still had a population of tens of millions. The soul devourer sacred beast, as the name suggested, was a fierce beast that loved to devour souls. The more souls he devoured, the faster his strength rose, and the more powerful he became. Yes, as Wang Fulong's voice fell, the golden core disciples around him responded in unison. Then, everyone spread out, each taking their own position, forming their own nodes. In an instant, a large formation was set up with Wang Fulong as the formation eye. This formation was called the Limitless Star Formation, and it required at least 64 golden core disciples. Once it was set up successfully, even an ancient giant would be trapped. Of course, this ancient giant usually referred to the longevity realm. But even so, it was still very impressive. Even geniuses like Hua Tiandu and Jiao Fei, before they broke through to the longevity secret realm, could only fight against ancient giants and could only escape unscathed. Now, just a few dozen Jindan stage disciples were able to trap an ancient giant. Arrays were indeed worthy of being the best way to defeat the strong with the weak. Just as Wang Fulong and the others finished setting up the formation, waiting for the soul devourer sacred beast to fall into the trap, they did not know that there was a mirror of eminence hanging high above them. It was hidden in the space, and a pair of eyes was staring at them quietly. This person was, of course, Fang Qingshan. When he came to the Limitless World, he asked around and found out that the Limitless Star Palace had issued a mission to find and capture the Soul Devourer's sacred beast. Almost everyone in the Limitless World, including Golden Core cultivators, Dharma Plane cultivators, and even ancient giant figures. According to his original memory, Fang Qingshan knew that the Soul Devourer's sacred beast seemed to be near Coiled Dragon Star. So he rushed over and happened to meet the Limitless Star Palace disciples. The Limitless Star Palace disciples were even more domineering than the Tai sect disciples in the Black-Yellow Great World. After Wang Fulong and the others arrived, the first thing they did was to chase away all the disciples who were not from the Limitless Star Palace, and then set up a formation to wait for them. In this regard, Fang Qingshan naturally saw it and was delighted. He knew that the Soul Devourer's sacred beast was not so easy to capture. Although it was a ferocious beast, it also had intelligence and knew how to beat them at their own game. Coiled Dragon Star might look peaceful now, but in fact, it had long become a ruin. In the entire country, millions or even tens of millions of lives have been devoured by the Soul Devourer sacred beast. However, this time, the Soul Devourer's sacred beast did not act like it did in the past. After one attack, it immediately escaped thousands of miles away. Instead, it set up a large formation and quietly waited for the Limitless Star Palace disciples to fall into its trap, giving them a taste of their own medicine. When the sandpiper and the clam fight, the fisherman benefits. Just as the Soul Devourer's sacred beast and the Limitless Star Palace were plotting against each other, they did not know that there was a third party watching from the sidelines. They wanted to let the Limitless Star Palace disciples and the Soul Devourer sacred beast fight to the death, and then they would come out to clean up the mess. The clear sky treasured mirror was a spatial treasure. and it was not inferior to the heavenly emperor mirror in Feng Baiyu's hands. Feng Qingshan took it out and hid in the void, quietly waiting for an opportunity. Even if a Grotto Heaven Realm expert came, they would not be able to find him. Time passed bit by bit. Both sides were very patient, and no one made the first move. The Soul Devourer's sacred beast was old but firm. It was sinister and cunning, and the most patient of all. Otherwise, it would not have been free for so many years. If it could not bear the loneliness, it would have been captured long ago. However, the Limitless Star Palace disciples did not have the same temperament. In fact, they had been waiting impatiently for a long time. However, although the formation could trap the Soul Devourer's sacred beast, once they were separated, it would be very easy for the Soul Devourer's sacred beast to defeat them one by one. The losses were small, but if the Soul Devourer's sacred beast escaped, it would be a great crime. If it was really their fault that led to a slip-up, then everyone, including Wang Fulong, would have to bear the consequences. Chapter 359. Swoosh! Another air-rending sound rang out. A meteor streaked across the sky and arrived near the coiling dragon star, stopping right above Wang Fulong's group. "Who's there?" Seeing that this person was so impudent, the Limitless Star Palace's disciples immediately rebuked him. If not for the array formation, they would have surrounded the owner of the space shuttle and taught him a lesson. "Who's there?" "It's me, of course." The person who answered them was a powerful and dignified voice. Following that, the cabin door opened, and a man and a woman walked out. The man was an old man, and the woman was a young lady. The old man had high cheekbones, and his eyes were deep and bright. The young lady wore a veil, making it difficult to see her appearance. In terms of aura, both of them were ancient giants. Although they couldn't compare to Hua Tiandu, they were still elites among the longevity realm cultivators. Judging from his aura, he was from the same lineage as Wang Fulong and the others. He was obviously an elder of the Limitless Star Palace. They were the left and right deputy hall masters of the Big Dipper Hall, Song Ying and Luo Shuibei. The two of them were also the reason why Wang Fulong and the others waited patiently. "Greetings, deputy hall masters." Wang Fulong and the others heaved a sigh of relief when they saw the newcomers. They were young and impatient, so they quickly bowed to Song Ying and Luo Shuibei. "How is it? Is there any movement from the Soul Devourer beast?" Song Ying and Luo Shuibei nodded. Luo Shuibei did not speak, but Song Ying looked around and asked. "No." Wang Fulong shook his head. "There's no movement at all." Deputy Hall Master Song Ying, could the information be wrong? "How is that possible?" Song Ying shook his head. "The information can't be wrong. In that case, let's go down and search. We'll alert the enemy and force him out," Wang Fulong suggested. "All right." Song Ying and Luo Shuibei exchanged glances and nodded. "Set up the array formation to seal the space. Junior sister and I will go down and take a look." Before Wang Fulong and the others could celebrate, Song Ying added, "Ah." When Wang Fulong and the others heard this, they immediately wailed. Initially, they thought that with Song Ying's arrival, they wouldn't have to stand guard here like idiots anymore. However, in the end, it was still the same. However, even Wang Fulong didn't dare to lose his temper when facing Song Ying and the other party. Although he was Big Dipper Star Lord, young Master Chunan's trusted aide, Song Ying and the other two were the Big Dipper Hall's deputy hall masters. They were ancient giants and young Master Chu Nan's best fighters. "Yes," Wang Fulong responded weakly. "Junior sister, let's go." Song Ying didn't care about what Wang Fulong and the others thought. After instructing them, he turned to North Luo River and said. Luo Shuibei didn't say anything. He just nodded and took the lead to descend to the coiled dragon star. In fact, there were two reasons why Song Ying had asked Wang Fulong and the others to stay above. Firstly, the Soul Devourer's sacred beast had already matured, and its cultivation was not inferior to the eternal overlords. Once Wang Fulong and the others left the array formation, they would definitely die if they encountered him. Secondly, the Soul Devourer's sacred beast was invisible and formless. It was just a mass of devil soul. If it scattered, it could turn into thousands of spirits. If it gathered together, it would turn into an archaic demonic beast. It was ever-changing and extremely difficult to suppress. If Luo Shuaibei was not careful, it would escape. Therefore, he still needed Wang Fulong and the others to set up the array formation to seal the space. This was to prevent the soul devourer sacred beast from escaping, which would cause him to fail. Buzz. After Tsang Ying and Luo Shuaibei landed on the coil dragon star, they took out a compass. In an instant, the needle of the compass vibrated rapidly and pointed in a direction. It seems like the soul devourer's sacred beast is nearby. Let's be careful. Tsang Ying reminded Luo Shuaibei with a joyful expression. The two of them carefully approached the direction of the compass. This was a prosperous country with a flourishing population. Of course, it was also the target of the soul devourer sacred beast. Junior sister, let's go to the palace of this country. We can wait for it while we ask about the situation. After all, they're the local tyrants. Tsang Ying suggested. Sure. Luo Shuaibei naturally had no objections. The two of them turned into rays of light and instantly arrived at the palace of this country. However, at this moment, something strange happened suddenly. Boom! At the moment when Tsang Ying and Luo Shuaibei landed, endless black gas soared into the sky like a volcanic eruption. It instantly shrouded the entire country. It was as black as ink and as evil as a ghost. In an instant, the originally peaceful and prosperous country suddenly turned into a ghost country with hundreds of ghosts roaming in the night. Demonic chi surged into the sky. Damn it, we've fallen into a trap. Seeing this, Tsang Ying and Luo Shuaibei immediately screamed. They had no idea that they had fallen into the trap of the soul devourer's sacred beast. Let's go. Luo Shuaibei soared into the sky directly, trying to escape at this critical moment. However, the idea was beautiful, but the reality was impossible. The soul devourer's sacred beast had planned this for a long time. How could it let them escape from the cage so easily? Buzz. With a slight tremble, the entire coiled dragon star seemed to tremble with it. Then, 6 stone steels suddenly rose from the ground. Each stone tablet was like a huge mountain, towering between heaven and earth. A giant eye appeared on each of the stone tablets. The stone tablets were simple, mysterious, and vast. Dense runes were engraved on them, converging into 2 big ancient words. They twisted and seemed to be filled with strange power. God confirm it. Yes, these 2 words were God confirm it, the God confirmant of the confirmant of the gods. Of course, this stone tablet was not the confirmant of the gods, but the 6-eyed God confirmant tablet. The boundless world had the great star art of the 3,000 great Daos, and the great confirmant of the gods' world also had the great confirmant of the 3,000 great Daos. The great confirmant of the gods' art was somewhat similar to the great 5 elements art. The great 5 elements art cultivated the 5 elements and condensed the 5 internal organs. The great confirmant of the gods' art specialized in cultivating the 6 organs. The two complemented each other. Fang Qingshan had long obtained the cultivation method of the great confirmant of the gods' art from Fang Han. However, it was impossible to have any minor achievements in the 3,000 great Daos without hundreds or thousands of years. Unless it was like Fang Qingshan, who cultivated the great devouring art, the great disaster art, and the great salvation art from exquisite paradise. Otherwise, there was only one way to take the shortcut, and that was to pile up heavenly materials and earthly treasures. Fang Qingshan cultivated the Tao of the 5 elements and condensed countless heavenly materials and earthly treasures of the 5 elements. Later, when he broke through the immortal body, he even integrated 5 top-grade treasures of the 5 elements. Cultivating the great confirmant of the gods' art could also be done in the same way. However, it was already good enough that he had obtained the great confirmant of the gods' art from Fang Han. He naturally would not ask Fang Han to give him the 6-eyed God confirmant tablet. Moreover, the six-eyed God conferment tablet in Fong Han's hands was only a treasure artifact. Fong Qingshan did not take it seriously. Fortunately, he knew that the Soul Devourer's sacred beast also had six-eyed God conferment tablets, and each of them was a Tao artifact. If he could obtain them and smelt them, the great conferment of the god's art would immediately reach the great mastery. Chapter 360. To be honest, to Fong Qingshan, the sacred spirit devourer beast was a treasure trove. Let's not talk about the six-eyed god investiture tablet in his possession. He had a map of the Tianwu treasury. The main reason Fong Qingshan came to the boundless world this time was to get the map of the Tianwu treasury. With this map and the great desolation ancient furnace in Fong Han's possession, he would be able to get twice the result with half the effort. Furthermore, the sacred spirit devourer bee's cultivation was based on the deaths of living beings. Every time it appeared, it would take away the souls of millions of living beings. It was addicted to killing, and its karma was as vast as the sea. Killing him would probably give him more karma and luck than subduing the heaven-devouring evil emperor. Moreover, its body could be used to refine the 9 Revolutions soul return pill. This was a heaven-level pill. Although its grade couldn't be compared to an immortal pill, in terms of efficacy, it was no less precious. However, as long as it was still breathing, it could be resurrected. The saying that life and death could regenerate flesh and bones was not a lie. Just like how the Great Five Elements technique and Great God Sealing technique could complement each other and nourish one's internal organs. The 9 Revolutions soul return pill could also be used together with the 7 Lives Mysterious Gate pill, which was more effective in helping one break through to the longevity secret realm. In the original trajectory, in order to escape Su Xiui's encirclement, Fong Qingxue used the Little Destiny technique at the risk of her life. Fong Han captured the sacred spirit devourer beast to refine the 9 Revolutions soul return pill and save her life. Not long after, she broke through to the immortal body. Of course, although this item was no longer useful to Fong Qingshan, it was still very valuable as a collector's item. Even if he couldn't use it, he could use it to exchange or keep it as a trump card. Fong Qingshan's eyes flickered as he quietly observed everything that was happening on Coiled Dragon Star. When the sacred spirit devourer beast saw Song Ying and Luo Shuibei falling into its god-sealing formation, it let out a proud cackle. Those who kill will always be killed. The Limitless Star Palace is really famous and powerful. They issued an edict to the whole world to hunt me down, almost forcing me into a dead end. How is it? You didn't expect this, did you? Hee, I destroyed a country and devoured 60 million people. In one fell swoop, I refined the 6-eyed God Sealing tablet into a Tao artifact and laid down the God Sealing array. I'll let you guys have a taste of living a life worse than death. Close to 100 golden core cultivators, a Dharma form, and 2 powerful cultivators. I'll be able to cultivate an immortal soul after devouring you. I'll then seek revenge from Chunan. At this point, the sacred beast soul eater licked its lips and swallowed its saliva. At the same time, a cunning, greedy, and hateful look burst out of its eyes. Die, all of you die. As the soul eater's sacred beast's voice fell, the God Sealing array activated. 6 mountain-sized God Sealing tablets ruthlessly pressed down. The overwhelming pressure caused the treasure light around Song Ying to explode. At the same time, the demonic fog surged out of the void. It was a vast expanse of darkness. They couldn't even see their own fingers in front of them, and there were ghostly wails and wolf howls everywhere. This was the soul-devouring demonic domain, the spiritual domain of the soul-devouring sacred beast. It could also be considered an innate divine ability. When used together with the God Sealing formation, it would yield twice the result with half the effort, and its might was extremely great. Humph! Heaven and earth are boundless. The starry sky is boundless. Song Ying and Luo Shueiyue shouted at the same time and showed their primordial spirit Dharma forms. Endless starlight gathered, and a large book that looked like the origin of stars slowly opened. This was the Limitless Stars book of the Limitless Star Palace, which was also known as the Grand Star Technique. At the same time, the two of them each took out a Tao artifact. A ray of starlight flashed across the sky, as fast as a meteor. If one did not pay attention, they would not be able to see it at all. Comet Needle. It was even more powerful than the earth-penetrating needle in Fang Qingshan's hand. It was not because the comet needle was of a higher grade than the earth-penetrating needle. It was because the earth-penetrating needle specialized in burrowing into the ground and opening mountains, so its attack was naturally slightly weaker. More importantly, the comet needle and Luo Shubei's divine ability complemented each other, so its power was naturally 3 times stronger. North Pole's saber. The Big Dipper was high, and the aurora turned into a heavenly saber. However, Cangying waved the big saber in his hand, and the shadow of the Big Dipper appeared in the sky. The saber light cut through the sky as fast as the aurora. Before the saber slashed down, the entire soul-devouring devilish territory began to tremble. Just as the soul-devouring sacred beast and Luo Shuei were fighting, Fang Qingshan finally made his move. The Hao Yian treasured mirror rotated and revealed its true form. It reflected the sunlight, the dragon patterns, and the phoenix seal script, the brilliance flowing, and the mysterious sound lingering. Then, a beam of divine light shot up into the sky. It was majestic and vast, sweeping toward Wang Fulong and the others who had sealed off the space around the coiled dragon star. In an instant, it disappeared, revealing a clear blue sky with clear air. Wang Fulong and the others did not even have a chance to react before they were suppressed in the Hao Yian treasured mirror. Following that, the Grand Salvation Technique was displayed, and everyone was purified by Fang Qingshan without the slightest resistance. Waves of power of vow continuously gathered towards the Heaven Lake. Good. Seeing this scene, Fang Qingshan could not help but smile and say good. Although the power of vow provided by Wang Fulong and the others was far less than that provided by Qiongqi, the devouring Sky Demon Emperor, and even Fan Xinging, it was no less than that of the Sky Dragon world. After all, this was all the elite strength of the Limitless Star Palace, and the weakest was in the Golden Elixir Realm. At the same time, these people also shared the fate of the Limitless Star Palace. In the future, if some of these people could continue to work hard and grow, Fang Qingshan would gain more. Continue to seal the space. After purifying Wang Fulong and the others, Fang Qingshan did not put them away. Instead, he released them and let them continue to set up the Big Dipper formation to seal the space, while he himself used the Great Lurking skill to quietly sneak into the God-sealing formation. At this moment, the battle between the soul-devouring sacred beast and Luo Shuei had also reached its limit. The soul-devouring sacred beast was an extremely ferocious creature in the world. It grew stronger by devouring the souls of all living beings. It was as intelligent as a demon and was comparable to a sacred beast. It was even more powerful than an ancient giant. Luo Shuei Cangying, was the deputy hall master of the Limitless Star Palace's Big Dipper Hall. He wielded a Tao artifact, cultivated the Limitless Stars book, and was extremely wealthy. He was also not easy to deal with. The two sides were evenly matched. The general had met a talented general. The only worry was that the soul-devouring sacred beast was scheming against them. So Luo Shuei and Cangying were at a disadvantage. In a battle between experts, victory or defeat was decided in an instant. In a battle between people of similar strength, once one fell into a disadvantage and was ambushed by the other party, it would be dangerous. Luo Shuei and Cangying were both ruthless people. Seeing that the scales of defeat were tilting towards them, they exchanged glances, gritted their teeth, and tossed out 1,000,000 pure yang pills to burn. Then, they sent them into the 2 Tao artifacts, the Comet Needle and the North Pole Saber. Finally, they smashed towards one of the 6-eyed God sealing tablets. Chapter 361. Not good. Seeing Luo Shuaibei and Tsang Ying's actions, the sacred soul devourer beast immediately cried out. It knew that Luo Shuaibei and Tsang Ying wanted to self-destruct their Tao artifacts. Damn it, damn it. The sacred soul devourer beast stomped its feet in anger. It had devoured billions of lives to refine the six-eyed god sealing tablet into a Tao artifact. It had even attracted the pursuit of limitless Star Palace. However, Luo Shuaibei and Luo Shuaibei weren't at the end of their rope yet they were so resolute in detonating their Tao treasures. This caught him off guard. Although the Arctic Blade and Comet Needle weren't his, he had already considered them his spoils of war. Seeing its enemies destroy its spoils of war, how could the sacred soul devourer beast be in a good mood? Most importantly, the self-destruction of the Tao artifacts would be extremely powerful. Not only could it change the situation, it could also severely injure its six-eyed god-sealing tablet. In fact, although Luo Shuaibei and Tsang Ying were unwilling, after weighing the pros and cons, self-destructing their Tao artifacts was the most beneficial thing for them at this stage. The North Pole Saber and Comet Needle were only low-grade Tao artifacts. Once they became ancient giants, they could refine low-grade Tao artifacts. Now that the North Pole Saber and Comet Needle were destroyed, they would naturally be able to refine a new Tao artifact. However, if they were to act like misers and cling onto their Tao artifacts tightly, once they missed the best opportunity and allowed the sacred soul devourer beast to gain an absolute advantage, it would not just be a problem of their Tao artifacts. Instead, it would be a devastating blow. Even if they were fine, letting the sacred soul devourer beast escape would be a huge blow to them, especially if they lost their impression of young Master Chunan. If they kept the land but lost the people, both the people and the land would be lost. If they kept the people but lost the land, both the people and the land would survive. If they kept the Tao artifacts, they would be digging their own graves. If they blew up the Tao artifacts, they would be able to counterattack. Faced with such a situation, anyone would be able to make the right decision. Moreover, even if they did not refine it themselves, they could still buy it. For others, the price of a low-grade Tao artifact was enough to bankrupt them. However, Limitless Star Palace was extremely wealthy. If it was a mid-grade Tao artifact, it was more than enough to buy a low-grade Tao artifact. A problem that could be solved with money was not a problem. Being able to use money to smash the Soul Eater sacred beast to death, they were naturally decisive. In particular, as long as the mission was completed and the Soul Eater sacred beast was captured, Chunan's reward would definitely not disappoint him. Thus, Luo Shuaibei and Luo Shuaibei did not hesitate at all. The moment they saw that they had fallen into the soul-devouring sacred beast's trap, they immediately self-destructed their Tao weapons. Moreover, not only did they channel their magic power with all their might, they even burned 1 million pure yang pills to strengthen themselves, increasing their power by 30%. Conferred God Tribulation. At this point, the Sacred Soul Devourer Beast knew that it could only go all out, because it was already too late to withdraw. Moreover, once he withdrew the God Sealing Tablet, the power of the Tao Artifact's explosion would spread out in all directions. He did not have any defensive treasures. Thus, the Soul Devourer's Sacred Beast directly activated the Divine Seal Tablet, fighting attack with attack. However, the six-eyed God Investiture Tablets that were already like small mountains began to swell in the wind again. They towered into the clouds and blotted out the sky as they came crashing down with a rumble. The entire space collapsed with a loud bang, forming a vortex that looked like a black hole. No one knew where it led to. Strong air currents formed spatial cracks that swept out in all directions. The surrounding space was torn apart, and a space-time storm surged out from within. Clang! It was as if two divine hammers had collided between the soul-devouring sacred beast and Luo Shuaibei. Blazing light splashed everywhere, but immediately after, the two parties let out a muffled groan at the same time and staggered back. Every single one of them seemed to have been dismembered. Their bodies were drenched in blood, and their bones could be seen in many places. The North Pole Saber, Comet Needle, 1 million pure yang pills, and Luo Shueibei's full support. The power of the self-destruction was equivalent to that of an ancient giant. The self-destruction of a universal avatar could destroy everything within a radius of several thousand miles. It could cause a country to sink and sink tens of thousands of feet into the ground. The conferred God tribulation unleashed by the 6 Tao artifact, 6-eyed God sealing tablets at the same time would not be weak either. It could shake heaven and earth and overturn rivers and seas. They had met their match, and the general had met his match. Both sides were evenly matched, and neither side was able to take advantage of the other. Luo Shueibei and Luo Shueibei's self-destruction caught the Soul Devourer's sacred beast off guard. At the same time, the offensive power was slightly stronger. As for the Soul Devourer's sacred beast, it had the advantage of the array formation, as well as its incorporeal body. In the aftermath of the collision, it had not suffered as much damage as Luo Shueibei and Luo Shueibei. However, in summary, this exchange had resulted in both sides suffering. Although Luo Shueibei and Luo Shueibei had managed to escape the encirclement, they had self-destructed their Tao artifacts and were heavily injured by the aftermath. It was the same for the Soul Devourer sacred beast. Although the 6-eyed God sealing tablet was not destroyed, it was heavily injured. Fang Qingshan felt his heart bleed. Just like the Soul Devourer's sacred beast had coveted the North Pole's saber and comet needle, although the 6-eyed God sealing tablet was still in the Soul Devourer's sacred beast's hands, Fang Qingshan had long regarded it as his. Now that the Tao artifact had been damaged, how could he not feel his heart ache? Damn it! Seeing Luo Shueibei and Luo Shueibei escape, the Soul Devourer's sacred beast knew that it had suffered a double loss. However, since its attack had failed, it immediately fled. After all, this was still Limitless Star Palace's territory. If it dragged on, reinforcements would arrive. When that happened, it would not be able to escape even if it grew wings. TSK. The people from Limitless Star Palace are truly rich and overbearing. I'll let it go this time. Let's play next time. As soon as the Soul Devourer's sacred beast said that, its body suddenly shook and it transformed into thousands of shadows, flying in all directions. Not good. He's trying to escape. Seeing that, Luo Shueibei and Luo Shueibei exclaimed simultaneously. They had been seriously injured and had self-destructed their Tao artifacts. If they allowed the Soul Devourer's sacred beast to escape, it would be like drawing water with a wicker basket. Wang Fulong, hurry up. Limitless Star Array, seal the sky, and lock the earth. The Soul Devourer's sacred beast was too decisive. They simply could not stop it in time. Fortunately, they had left Wang Fulong and the others outside to set up the array formation and seal the space. Wang. As soon as they said that, the stars in the sky shone brightly. It was as though there was an immeasurable starry sky. A scroll that looked like the earthly emperor's tome slowly unfurled. However, what floated on the scroll was not the Xianhuang Great World. Instead, it was the immeasurable starry sky. It was the power of the sun, moon, and myrtle star. Good. Seeing that, Luo Shueibei and Luo Shueibei shouted out in unison. Without another word, the two of them flew up at the same time, pouncing towards the Limitless Star Array. Although the Limitless Star Array was powerful, it could only stop the Soul Devourer's sacred beast for a moment. If it did not take action, given the Soul Devourer's sacred beast's cunning, it would not take long for it to escape. Chapter 362. You want to trap me with a mere everlasting star array? You must be dreaming. Facing the starry sky that suddenly appeared above his head, the Soul Eater's sacred beast was not worried at all. He had dealt with the everlasting star palace countless times. As the saying goes, the person who understands you the most is your enemy. The Soul Eater's sacred beast did not dare to say that he knew the everlasting star palace like the back of his hand, but at least he had done some research on the everlasting star array. After all, the everlasting star array was equivalent to the everlasting star palace's signature dish. Whether it was a joint attack, defeating the strong as the weak, or trapping people to take things, it was the best choice. In the past, he had encountered this a few times. At the very beginning, he had almost been trapped by the everlasting star array, resulting in many perilous situations. This time, he had set up a trap on Coil Dragon Star, specifically waiting for the everlasting Star Palace people to fall into it. Naturally, he had left himself a way out. Before calculating victory, he first considered defeat. He naturally saw the everlasting star array that Wang Fulong and the others had set up on Coil Dragon Star. However, he had originally thought that his plan was foolproof. As long as he killed Luo, Shuei, and Wang Fulong, wouldn't Wang Fulong and the others be like grasshoppers after autumn? However, he did not expect that his plan would change so quickly. Luo Shuei and Wang Fulong were too decisive and too ruthless. Seeing that the situation was not right, they directly detonated their Dao treasures, causing all his efforts to fail. Fortunately, he had some understanding of the everlasting star array and knew one of its flaws. With his strength, as long as he struck the flaw with all his might, hitting the node, the array would collapse on its own, and he would not be able to trap him. However, ideas were always so wonderful, often so unexpected. The Soul Eater sacred beast had just entered the everlasting star array when the stars in the sky suddenly retracted, revealing a large cauldron. At first, this ancient cauldron was only 2 to 3 feet in size, completely golden. However, after the Soul Eater sacred beast flew into the array, it instantly expanded in the wind, transforming into a worldly furnace. A strange beast squatted on the lid of the cauldron. It had the head of a cow, the body of a snake, the nose of an elephant, the tail of a lion, 6 legs and 4 wings. Its front legs were high, and the last 4 legs gradually lowered, looking extremely fierce. Although it looked like an inanimate object, it gave the Soul Eater sacred beast a feeling of incomparable ferocity. Even the Soul Eater sacred beast trembled when he saw it. The cauldron's belly was also carved with many strange beasts: mountains, wind, water, and fire. At this moment, they seemed to have come to life. This was the 9 Doubts cauldron in Fong Qingshan's hands. After Fong Qingshan refined the clear sky treasure mirror, he refined it again. Although it was not as good as the great U9 cauldrons that could restrain all the demonic beasts in the world, it was more than enough to deal with the Soul Devourer sacred beast. Just as the sacred Soul Eater beast felt that something was wrong and its eyelids twitched, a Hongjun Tiandao, like sound suddenly echoed throughout the entire formation space. Following that, the mouth of the cauldron tilted, and the mouth of the cauldron spewed out countless red and golden stars. In an instant, everything around lost its luster. Even the light in the array space was sucked away by the cauldron, so everything fell into darkness. One could only see red lines and golden stars, as well as a dark, heaven-devouring mouth, sucking everything in front of it away. Not good. The soul-devouring sacred beast exclaimed when it saw this. Originally, it thought that its ability to condense and disperse into thousands of shadows was a supreme life-saving technique. Just like the blood god, it could make a comeback as long as it managed to escape. However, this life-saving technique had now become its trump card. If it gathered together, it would not be impossible to resist the devouring power of the 9 Doubts cauldron, even though it was powerful. However, now that it had been split into thousands of parts, its strength was naturally declining. After all, not every clone technique was comparable to Fong Qingshan's one-breath-turning Sanqing. No, the soul-devouring sacred beast let out a shrill cry and tried to break free from the devouring. However, Fong Qingshan had already taken out a treasure like the 9 Doubts cauldron, and his cultivation was higher than the soul-devouring sacred beasts. There was no way he would allow it to act presumptuously again. Buzz. The light disappeared, and so did the heaven-devouring mouth. Everything settled down, and the stars shone in the sky again as if nothing had happened. At that moment, Luo Shuei and Tsang Yingzi rushed in. The two of them instantly frowned when they saw that the boundless star formation was calm and tranquil. They were slightly surprised and indeterminate. Where did the soul-devourer beast go? Wang Fulong, what's going on? Where's the soul-devouring sacred beast? Song Yingzi shouted at the sky. However, what answered him was a ray of mirror light. There was an ancient mirror that was hundreds of meters wide. The images of a Qilin and a divine dragon surrounded its nose in all four directions, and the turtle, dragon, phoenix, and tiger were arranged accordingly. Outside the four directions, there were the 8 trigrams, and outside the 12 celestial positions. Outside of the celestial positions, there were 24 words that surrounded the celestial positions. The writing was like a dragon and a snake, and the drawing was flawless. It exuded an ancient and unparalleled aura. The mirror hung in the air, shining brightly. The sun and the moon shone together, and a mysterious power was produced out of nowhere. Wherever the mirror light went, everything stopped. Seeing this, Luo Shuaibei wanted to warn Song Yingzi, but the mirror light was too fast. Even she didn't have time to react and was sealed in the air. Fang Qingshan was a half-step Grotto Heaven Realm cultivator, and he had the clear sky treasured mirror, a spatial treasure. Even if Luo Shuaibei and Song Yingzi were at their peak condition, they would still be defeated, not to mention Luo Shuaibei and Song Yingzi were severely injured and unprepared. However, if he could achieve the most satisfactory results with the least amount of effort, why would he waste so much effort? Swoosh! The mirror light swept over, and Luo Shuaibei and Song Yingzi, the two ancient giants of the Wuji Star Palace, and the deputy hall master of the Big Dipper Hall, were sealed in the clear sky treasured mirror by Fang Qingshan. All right, let's go. With this matter completed, Fang Qingshan waved his hand and kept Wang Fulong and the others. Then, he randomly chose a direction and flew over. He found an inconspicuous planet and landed. Although the soul-eater sacred beast and the others were sealed, he hadn't realized his gains yet. Fang Qingshan found a desolate mountain, used the earth-piercing needle to make a hole, and went in. He first went into the 9 Doubts Cauldron, prepared to deal with the soul-eater sacred beast. Damn it, who are you? You're not from the Wuji Star Palace. We have no enmity in the past. Why did you plot against me? Upon seeing Fang Qingshan, the soul-eater sacred beast, who was sealed in the 9 Doubts Cauldron, struggled and roared. No enmity in the past. No enmity in the past. Indeed, Fang Qingshan nodded lightly, then asked in an undeniable manner. However, do you have an irreconcilable enmity with the billions of living beings that you've devoured? The soul-eater sacred beast choked, and in an instant, it started yelling again. How can that be the same? They're just ordinary people. Even if I don't kill them, they'll still die of old age and illness. Humans only have one life, and plants only have one autumn. Being able to become a part of me is equivalent to obtaining eternal life. Chapter 363. What a glib tongue. Fang Qingshan glanced at him indifferently and didn't say anything else. He reached out and grabbed the soul-devourer sacred beast body. The soul-devourer sacred beast, the Kuan Peng, and the god race had formed a separate space within their bodies. All of their treasures were stored there. The space was very secretive, and it was difficult for people who didn't comprehend the law of space to discover it. Of course, the most important thing was that if he couldn't suppress it completely, the treasures inside would flow into the void once it self-destructed. However, Fang Qingshan was a half-step Grotto Heaven Realm cultivator and just needed a little more opportunity to break through to the Grotto Heaven Realm. His comprehension of the law of space had naturally reached a certain level, so it wasn't a problem for him to discover the space within the soul-devourer sacred beast body. Furthermore, this was the internal space of the 9 Doubts Cauldron, which was suppressed by a mixed essence immortal fetus. Not to mention that the soul-devourer sacred beast was only at the longevity realm. Even if he had broken through to the undying body or the Grotto Heaven Realm, once he entered this place, he would have no way out not to mention his heavily injured body. You're actually a half-step grotto heaven realm cultivator. As soon as Fang Qingshan made his move, his entire body seemed to have merged with the space around him. Sometimes he was here, sometimes he was there. He was constantly moving around. The law of space wrapped around his body, causing the sacred soul devourer beast to cry out in surprise. At the same time, the soul devourer's sacred beast felt his heart bleeding in despair. He originally thought that Fang Qingshan needed to sneak an attack on him to suppress him. He thought that Fang Qingshan was just a fisherman who benefited from the fight between the sandpiper and the clam. How could he have known that Fang Qingshan was actually a half-step grotto heaven realm cultivator? He was even more powerful than Chunan. Even if he was at his peak, he wouldn't even have had a chance of escaping. Fang Qingshan didn't care about what the soul devourer's sacred beast was thinking. He took out all the treasures in the soul devourer sacred beast body. Forget about the other miscellaneous items. The one that Fang Qingshan valued the most was naturally the six-eyed divine seal tablet. However, it was a little damaged at this moment. It was damaged by Luo Shuaibei and Chunan's self-destruction of the North Pole Blade and Comet Needle. Damn it! Fang Qingshan cursed in his heart. With a wave of his hand, he tossed it into the heavenly lake. Now, the heavenly lake was not only the place where immortal qi, spiritual qi, and wish power gathered, it was also the place where Qiong Qi, devouring heaven devil emperor, and Fan Qingying cultivated. Here, they were recovering their strength, cultivating, and praying for Fang Qingshan, contributing the power of will. Sometimes, Fang Qingshan would even give them the all-heaven swords or the Tai 5 smoky net, asking them to refine them. Qiong Qi, devouring heaven. Qingying, this is the six-eyed God sealing tablet. It's already damaged. I'll impart the grand God sealing art to you guys. After you comprehend it, use the materials in the treasury to repair these 6 tablets. Fang Qingshan directly instructed. Yes, Qiong Qi and the others, who were praying, recovering, and cultivating, immediately stopped when they heard this and answered in unison. After receiving the six-eyed God sealing tablet, they began to comprehend the grand God sealing art that Fang Qingshan had imparted into their minds. Among the 3 of them, Qiongqi and devouring heaven devil emperor were experts in their own right. Although the grand God sealing art was one of the 3,000 great Daos, it wasn't difficult for them to comprehend it. Moreover, they had the six-eyed God sealing tablet as a reference. Therefore, not long after, the 2 opened their eyes one after another and pointed at Fan Qingying, transmitting their comprehensions to her. Then, the 3 of them began to work together. Their left hands repaired the six-eyed God sealing tablet. Seeing that they were proceeding in an orderly manner, Fang Qingshan retracted his consciousness. Other than the six-eyed God sealing tablet, the only thing in the soul-devouring sacred beast that caught Fang Qingshan's attention was a gourd. This gourd was called the Transforming Dragon Gourd. It was said that it was specially used to melt living beings with the bloodline of the Sky Dragon and convert them into dragon essence energy. Moreover, storing elixirs within it could increase the elixir's spirituality. It also had the ability to capture enemies and release dragon might. Just as Fang Qingshan was about to open the Transforming Dragon Gourd, the soul-devouring sacred beast's lifeless face suddenly lit up. However, he was going to be disappointed again. Just as Fang Qingshan was about to open the soul-devouring gourd, his hand suddenly emitted a brilliance. In an instant, the entire space was filled with Sanskrit chants. Buddhas, bodhisattvas, arhats, vajras, 8 treasure merit ponds illuminated the heavens, golden lotuses bloomed, and Bodhi trees swayed. Boom! A muffled sound echoed, as though something had been destroyed. Looking at the soul-devouring sacred beast, his eyes were filled with disbelief. Impossible! How could you know that there are 9 mother-child heavenly demonic divine lightning inside? The reason why the soul-devouring sacred beast revealed such a look was because he saw the hope of escaping. It was because he had placed 9 mother-child heavenly demonic divine lightning in the Transforming Dragon Gourd. As a matter of fact, the power of the nine-child mother mystic demon divine thunder was not bad. It was just a notch stronger than the heavenly demon shark divine thunder that Fang Qingshan had unleashed from the middle-grade Dao tool when he faced Wang Lianshan in exquisite paradise. However, both were equally evil. The Sky Fiend Shark God Lightning was forged from 100 million evil shark souls, while the Nine Mother Child Heavenly Demonic Divine Lightning was forged from 100 million human souls and various kinds of evil chi. The Nine Mother Child Heavenly Demonic Divine Lightning was forged from 100 million evil shark souls, while the Nine Mother Child Heavenly Demonic Divine Lightning was forged from 100 million human souls and various kinds of evil chi. If one did not know and used the wrong method to open the Dragon Transformation Gourd, it would immediately cause the Nine-Child Mother Mystic Demon Divine Lightning to explode. If the Nine-Child Mother Mystic Demon Divine Lightning exploded, it would cause a chain reaction that would cause the Dragon Transformation Gourd to explode. The Transforming Dragon Gourd was a Dao artifact. Although it was only a low-grade Dao artifact, it was comparable to the Comet Needle and the Northern Pole Saber. The power of the two Dao artifacts' self-destruction was evident. It was not hard to imagine what would happen if the Transforming Dragon Gourd self-destructed. It was especially so when one was caught off guard. Without the undying body, one would die on the spot. Even the undying body would be severely injured. Why? You didn't think of that? Fang Qingshan shot a glance at the soul-devouring sacred beast and said with a faint smile, I wouldn't dare. The soul-devouring sacred beast shuddered and shook its head repeatedly. Master, you're a wise man. Please forgive this lowly one this time. Hearing his words, Fang Qingshan couldn't help but be stunned for a moment. Good Lord, where's your integrity? He's an ancient giant, after all. If the soul-devouring sacred beast knew what he was thinking, it would definitely scoff at him. Integrity? Could it be eaten or saved? Fang Qingshan shook his head and ignored the soul-devouring sacred beast. He looked into the Transforming Dragon Gourd and saw a river of pure, young, immortal pills, about 30 million of them. Fang Qingshan nodded and sent it into the heavenly lake with a wave of his hand. He then turned to look at the soul-devouring sacred beast. I'm meat on the chopping block. At that moment, the sacred soul-devourer beast was licking its face and looking at Fang Qingshan with a fawning expression. As long as Master lets me go, I'll tell you a huge secret. Chapter 364. A Great Secret? Fang Qingshan stared at it with a faint smile. What secret? Master, do you know about the Black-Yellow Great World? That's the #1 world among the 3,000 great worlds. Hearing Fang Qingshan's question, the Soul-Eater sacred beast was filled with confidence and answered confidently. Although it has declined, there are many treasures hidden in it. I received a piece of information from an elder of the Limitless Star Palace about Venerable Pan Wu's Tianwu treasure vault. At this point, the Soul-Eater sacred beast glanced at Fang Qingshan and smiled slyly. As long as Master let me go, I will tell you about the Tianwu treasure vault. Tianwu treasure vault. Fang Qingshan stared at the Soul-Eater sacred beast as if he was extremely tempted. Just when the Soul-Eater sacred beast thought that it had succeeded and its life was saved, Fang Qingshan suddenly burst into laughter. May I know why Master is laughing? Fang Qingshan's laughter made the Soul-Eater sacred beast's hair stand on end, but he was even more confused. He couldn't help but frown and ask, Why am I laughing? Take a look at this. Fang Qingshan slapped his forehead. Boundless light shone from his glabella. Following that, one after another, sparkling and translucent Sarira-like pearls flew out. There was a total of 9 of them, and they were filled with the power of origin. Origin relics? You actually cultivated the grand origin technique? How is this possible? The Soul-Eater sacred beast stared blankly at the pearls on top of Fang Qingshan's head. A moment later, it exclaimed in disbelief. The amount of surprise he had experienced today was probably the first time in his life that he had ever experienced such a thing. At first, it thought that Fang Qingshan was just sitting on a mountain and reaping the benefits. Later, it discovered that Fang Qingshan was actually a half-step heavenly insight realm expert, stronger than Chunan. Then he thought that the nine-child mother heavenly secret demon god Lightning would be able to trick Fang Qingshan, and he could take the opportunity to escape. Little did he know that all of his plans were seen by the other party, and they were completely useless. Initially, he was counting on the peerless secret of the Tianwu treasury to become a life-saving trump card in his hand. Who would have thought that it would turn out to be a farce in front of Guan Yu? Not only did he know about the Tianwu treasure vault, he had even learned Venerable Pan Wu's grand origin source technique. In a split second, the soul-devouring sacred beast's eyes were filled with despair. Freeze! Just at this time, a divine light flashed in Fang Qingshan's eyes. The clear sky, treasured mirror between his eyebrows was like an eye. With a blink, it shot out a righteous and magnificent mirror light, instantly enveloping the soul-devouring sacred beast. Space freeze. The sea of bitterness is boundless. Turn back to the shore before it is too late. Lay down the butcher's knife and become a Buddha immediately. Fang Qingshan seized the opportunity to raise his hand and cast out a ray of great salvation divine light. He then opened his mouth and chanted the expiation scripture. Lotus flowers bloomed on his tongue, and every flower was a Buddhist land. Chanting continuously, every sentence was blissful. For a moment, there was a revered Buddha preaching. Heavenly flowers fell, golden lotuses sprouted from the ground. Bodhisattva, saving the world, saving the suffering, great mercy. Arhut protecting the law, slaying demons and devils. In the boundless sea of bitterness, there was a bridge on the other side, connecting to the pure land of bliss. Lay down the butcher's knife, and you will see Bodhi. The nine suspicions cauldron suppressed the soul-devouring sacred beast, and Fang Qingshan had borrowed the clear sky treasured mirror's power of space to strengthen it. It was completely powerless to resist. The great salvation divine light went straight into its divine soul, like a Buddhist statue, gilded with gold. In a flash, the soul-devouring sacred beast's primordial spirit, which was originally invisible and filled with evil, wailing and howling from time to time, became solemn and dignified, shining with golden light. Those who didn't know better might even think it was an eminent monk. Amitabha, I have sinned, I have sinned. The soul-devouring sacred beast opened its eyes. Its gaze was no longer filled with cunning, greed, evil, and killing intent. Instead, it was filled with regret, compassion, letting go, and freedom. It respectfully bowed to Fang Qingshan and said, "Many thanks to Taoist for helping me escape from the sea of bitterness. Knowing the Tao in the morning, I have no regrets, even if I die in the evening." Good. Seeing this scene, Fang Qingshan smiled in satisfaction. The reason why he spent so much effort to enlighten the soul-devouring sacred beast was naturally not because he wanted to subdue Qiongqi or the heaven-devouring demon emperor. Even though he was an ancient authority and a ferocious beast comparable to the Kuan Peng, the dragon, and the phoenix, it was impossible for Fang Qingshan to cleanse him with the karma he had accumulated in the souls of millions of living beings. His real purpose was only one: the secret of the Tianwu treasury. Yes, it was that simple. The reason why Fang Qingshan did not torture Fang Qingshan, nor did he use the soul-devourer's sacred beast to deceive it into thinking that he knew everything about the Tianwu treasury like the back of his hand, was because the slightest mistake could easily erase Fang Qingshan's memories. Fang Qingshan did not want to take the risk, hence he took the unnecessary step. Tell me everything about the Tianwu treasury, no matter how big or small. Fang Qingshan said to the soul-devouring sacred beast. Yes. The soul-devouring sacred beast had long lost its sense of self after being enlightened. Fang Qingshan's words were the only imperial edict. He immediately told Fang Qingshan about how he plotted against the limitless Star Palace's elder, devoured his soul, and obtained the Tianwu treasury's memories. Good. The more Fang Qingshan listened, the more excited he became. Not only did he obtain the hidden location of the Tianwu treasury, but he also obtained the blueprint of its internal structure. With it, he and Fong Han could open the Tianwu treasury in advance and reap the greatest benefits in the process. At this moment, Fong Qingshan couldn't wait to return to the black-yellow Great World, find Fong Han, and use the Great Wilderness Ancient Furnace to open the Tianwu treasury. As his cultivation broke through the longevity realm, and even advanced by leaps and bounds to the half-step heavenly abode, the world tree's assistance to him became less and less useful. If he could obtain the key of the wilderness god and let the world tree devour it, not only would it be able to catch up to him, it would once again become a great help to him. The feedback from the world tree could even push his cultivation to the grotto heaven realm, time realm. If he could completely digest it, it wouldn't be impossible for him to reach the creation realm. After all, the key of the wilderness god was a peerless Tao tool, and it was only one step away from becoming an immortal tool. In fact, it already possessed the power of an immortal tool, but lacked the laws of the immortal Tao. Not to mention the laws of the immortal Tao, the key was the source energy of the world tree. One had to know that the 9-section staff that Fong Qingshan obtained in the Three Kingdoms was merely a low-grade Tao tool, but it had already allowed the world tree to advance by leaps and bounds. Not to mention the source energy of the key of the wilderness god, which was almost at the immortal tool grade. Once devoured, it would be a qualitative leap for him. Let's deal with these two first. Fong Qingshan barely suppressed the restlessness in his heart. He ordered the soul-eater sacred beast to stand aside, and began to purify Luo Shuebei and Tsang Ying in the Haoyan treasured mirror. Against the two of them, Fong Qingshan didn't have to be cautious. He directly used brute force to overcome all of them, cleansing them in no time. Chapter 365. What? Good. Haha, what guts you have. After Fong Qingshan converted Luo Shuebei and Tsang Yingzi, he was ready to use the clear sky treasured mirror to travel through space and return to the black-yellow Great World. Then he would join forces with Fong Han and Fong Qingxue to open the Tianwu treasury. However, he did not expect to hear a piece of news that made him laugh in anger. Young Master Chunan, right? Limitless Star Palace, right? The tree desires peace, but the wind will not stop. I was prepared to leave and not provoke you. Unfortunately, the heavens do not grant my wish. Fong Qingshan sighed faintly. His tone was filled with killing intent, just like the 7-kill sword in Fong Han's hand. When the sky emits killing intent, the stars move. When the earth emits killing intent, dragons and snakes rise from the land. When humans emit killing intent, heaven and earth turn upside down. The horn of war was blown. War flags fluttered in the wind. Cavalry clattered. Killing intent filled the air. Looking in the direction of the Limitless Star Palace's Big Dipper Hall, a plan flashed across Fong Qingshan's eyes. Do you know why he was angry? It turned out that from Luo Shuebei and Tsang Yingzi, young Master Chu Nan was about to marry his 2,999th concubine. Of course, it had nothing to do with him. Although young Master Chu Nan had married a few more wives, Fong Qingshan would not be so bored as to interfere. The problem was that it had nothing to do with him. If it had nothing to do with him, it would cause chaos. Fong Qingshan did not mind at all that young Master Chu Nan wanted to marry someone else. However, if the person he wanted to marry was Fong Qingwei, that would be touching Fong Qingshan's reverse scale. Needless to say, his 3,000th concubine was Fong Qingxue. Not to mention the fact that Fong Qingwei and Fong Qingxue were his family. The fact that they were his people and he could share a bit of their fortune with them was something that Fong Qingshan would never allow others to take away. This was simply too daring. If he did not kill, he would not be able to vent his anger. The story of Chu Nin marrying Fong Qingwei was also mentioned in the original novel. However, Fong Qingshan thought that things would be different with his intervention in this life. He didn't expect the inertia to be so strong. Fong Qingwei still fell into the hands of Chu Nan. He didn't know she was active or passive. However, Fong Qingshan thought that it should be passive. After all, in the original novel, Feng Qingxue and Feng Han had their reasons for Feng Qingwei's willingness to follow Chunan. But in this life, because of him, all of this shouldn't be a problem. What he did not know was that Feng Qingwei had fallen into Chunan's hands because of him. With the rise of Feng Qingshan and Feng Han, they could not be stopped. Together with Feng Qingxue, the Feng family's influence in the emergent sect increased day by day. The reputation of having 3 heroes was like the sun in the sky. For Feng Qingwei, this was originally something to be happy about, but what would happen to her if there were 3 heroes in one sect? Because of Feng Qingshan's concern, Feng Qingwei did not go down the path of evil. She was still kind, but she felt that she had embarrassed the Feng family. As Feng Qingshue's younger sister, Feng Qingshan's older sister, how could Feng Qingwei allow this to happen? Thus, she left the emergent sect and traveled the world. She wanted to find her fortune and chase after it. After all, whether it was Feng Qingshan, Feng Qingxue, or Feng Han, their rise was inseparable from fortune. However, it was unknown if the Feng family's fortune had been used up by the 3 of them. Not only did Feng Qingwei not obtain any fortune, but she was also discovered by the traveling Chu Nan and captured. As a result, she became a prisoner. The boundless world. Deep within, auspicious clouds floated in the sky. Immortal aura lingered. An auspicious aura filled the sky. There was a sea of mountains that resembled a boundless starry sky. Ancient, luxurious, and noble palaces adorned it, illuminating the sky. It was as if the stars were scattered all over the place. This was the boundless world, the sea of constellations where the limitless star palace was located. The extraordinarily luxurious palaces formed from starlight were the 360 branches of the limitless star palace, arranged according to the Zhoutian star. There was a star palace among them. Even within the Zhoutian star, it shone brilliantly unconventional. This was the Big Dipper Hall. The Zhoutian star was represented by the sun, moon, and purple myrtle star. The Big Dipper star was the purple myrtle star's trusted aid. The Big Dipper Hall's position in the limitless star palace was naturally not weak. At a certain moment, a streak of light flew over from the horizon and stopped outside the limitless star palace. A group of people walked out. It was Luo Shueibei, Cang Ying, Wang Fulong, and the others. After returning to the limitless star palace, they did not stop and flew straight to the Big Dipper Hall. There were many beautiful women in silk clothes walking around the Big Dipper Hall, singing and dancing. They were all stunning beauties. Those who did not know would have thought it was the Joy Courtyard. The reason why it was not the Jasper Lake Wonderland or the Royal Palace was because this place was filled with an alluring atmosphere. Greetings, Deputy Hall Master. When Luo Shueibei and Cang Ying returned to the Big Dipper Hall, everyone they met greeted them and spoke softly, which made their bones go soft. Is the young master here? Luo Shueibei asked. Yes, the young master is in the hall. Someone answered. Luo Shueibei and Cang Ying nodded. They no longer paid attention to the crowd and went straight to the place where young Master Chunan was. In the hall, the first thing that came into view was a giant throne. Compared to the crystal throne that Feng Qingshan saw in exquisite paradise, it was not inferior to the crystal throne that venerable Ling Long sat on. The entire body was forged with celestial crystals. It looked like a dragon throne and a dragon bed. 9 divine dragons were carved on it. Their scales and claws were flying in the air. Apart from that, the most eye-catching thing was that at the top of the dragon throne, there was a pearl that contained immeasurable power. It was dazzling like the bright moon and the great sun. It was a star core. It was similar to the dragonwood star core that Feng Han and the others fought for, but it was superior. This was young Master Chu Nan's high-grade Dao artifact. It was comparable to the Great Chaos Thunder Sword, the Star Emperor Dragon Bed. At this moment, there was a handsome man lying on the dragon bed, but in the depths of his eyes, there was an evil and lascivious aura. Surrounding him were a few beautiful women who could captivate even the birds and beasts and outshine the moon and flowers. Although they weren't lewd, it was still a disgrace to him. That man was the Big Dipper Hall Master, young Master Chunan. Greetings, young master. Luo Shuaibei and Songing walked in and saw this scene. They were already used to it and did not find it strange. They closed the door of the hall and bowed to young Master Chu Nan without looking sideways. "You're back," young Master Chu Nan asked lazily without raising his head. "How is it? Where's the Soul Eater Sacred Beast?" "Thanks to young Master, the Soul Eater Sacred Beast has been captured," Songing said respectfully. "Oh, that's great. Bring it to me." Young Master Chu Nan finally looked at Luo Shuaibei and Songing. There was a trace of joy in his voice. Chapter 366. Yes. Song Ying and Luo Shuaibei looked at each other and took out a glass ball the size of a bowl from the Sumeru's space. It was like amber, and the Soul Eater Sacred Beast was sealed inside. Song Ying held the glass ball and walked forward carefully, wanting to hand the Soul Eater Sacred Beast to Chu Nan. Chu Nan, who was still immersed in the warmth of his lover, could not help but sit up straight when he saw this object. He stared at the object in high spirits. At the same time, Luo Shuaibei's sleeve slid down, and a speck of dust fell. If it was in the past, with Chu Nan's mastery of the Big Dipper Hall, he would naturally be able to see the details clearly. But now, because he was staring at the Soul Eater Sacred Beast, and Luo Shuaibei and Song Ying were both his trusted subordinates, he neglected these things. 1,000 miles of dike was destroyed by an ant's nest. It was precisely this small negligence that sent him to the guillotine. Boom! Just as Chu Nan took the Soul Eater Sacred Beast, a sudden change occurred. Song Ying, who was originally respectful like a servant, suddenly flashed a cold light in his eyes. Then, as he handed over the glass ball, he also handed over a sharp sword. The dagger was revealed. Immortals died, gods died, and Buddhas perished. A kind of chaotic and murderous aura filled the world. As the sword was thrust out, the murderous intent was almost tangible. An inexplicable ghost cry sounded in the void, and large patches of red reflected like blood. It seemed that the appearance of this magic treasure was destined to set off a bloody storm. All Heaven's Sword. Yes, the unparalleled murderous sharp sword in Song Ying's hand was the peerless killing Dao weapon in Fong Qingshan's hands. All Heaven's Sword. This object was smelted by him into a peerless Dao weapon, 3 high-grade Dao weapons, and 1 low-grade Dao weapon. The 5 swords combined into one, and its power was unparalleled. In addition, Qiong Qi, Devouring Sky Demon Emperor, Fan Qingying, and the others were constantly reinforcing and refining it. Although it was not as pure as the 7-kill sword in Fong Han's hands, in terms of power, it was more than a level higher. How dare you? Chu Nan was originally happy to get the Soul Eater Sacred Beast. However, he felt an inexplicable sense of panic, palpitation, and a sudden impulse. Almost subconsciously, he activated the Star Emperor Dragon bed beneath him. Then he saw that his trusted aide, Song Ying, had betrayed him and wanted to launch a sneak attack on him. However, what frightened him the most was that the all-heaven sword in Song Ying's hand had an aura that was even more unattainable than his Star Emperor Dragon bed. Obviously, it was a peerless Dao artifact. Before it even landed, he was already attacked by the sword Qi. If he had not activated the Star Emperor Dragon bed in advance, at this moment, he would be like a fish on a chopping board, waiting to be slaughtered. How could he not be angry? Star, Chun Song of Ing, to the foam of star in it. Chong, of Ing of Qi of the star foam. A Wang of Chun of a Chun of dragon. Sword, Kin of Canif of a Canif of C of the king of Chun of dragon. What's more, Song Ying was scheming against him, while Chu Nan only activated the Star Emperor Dragon bed in a hurry. With a tearing sound, the Star Emperor Dragon bed's defense was almost torn apart by the all-heaven swords in an instant. Then, the all-heaven swords continued to charge toward Chu Nan with undiminished momentum. Protect! Although the Star Emperor Dragon bed did not block the all-heaven sword, it bought time for Chu Nan. He opened his mouth and spat out a syllable. From between his eyebrows, a rune that looked like the great Tao of heaven and earth flew out. Protect. In the nick of time, a tortoise shell protected Chunan's body. The Great Protection skill. It was the only pure defensive Great Tao among the 3,000 Great Tao. If one were to ask which of the 3,000 Great Taos had the strongest defensive power, it would be very difficult to answer. However, if one were to ask which of the 3,000 Great Taos had the strongest defensive power, it would definitely be the Great Protective Art. It was unbreakable and impervious to all evil. Although it was not as good as the legendary Xian Huang exquisite pagoda that stood above one's head and was invincible, it was a Tao technique that could not be shaken even if a great world was destroyed. It specialized in restraining the Great Massacre skill, the Great Slicing skill, the Great Demolition skill, and all other destructive magical powers. Unfortunately, it encountered the All-Heaven Sword. It only paused for a moment, and the Great Protection skill's defense was still easily torn apart. However, after a spurt of energy, it weakened and was exhausted. After the continuous resistance of the Star Emperor Dragon Bed and the Great Protection skill, Chunan finally recovered from his passive state. Good. Song Yingying, you are very good. I will make you beg for death. Looking at Song Yingying in front of him, Chunan gritted his teeth and said word by word. Of course, as he spoke, his movements did not slow down at all. Instead, he sped up. However, he revealed his primordial spirit Dharma form and unfolded the infinite star book, releasing endless starlight and deducing the starry sky to protect himself. At the same time, he stretched out his hand and slapped at Song Yingying. However, there was a vast expanse of green light that descended. It seemed slow, but was actually fast as it condensed into a huge hand that covered the sky. It was as warm as jade and was engraved with densely packed runes that contained the profound mysteries of the heavens. Hand of Heaven. Facing Chunan's hateful attack, Song Yingying did not retreat or show any fear. His aura was still indomitable, as if he was ready to risk his life. Buzz! Just as the Heaven's hand was about to land on Song Ying's body, 1, 2, 3, countless Heaven's hand exploded like fireworks. 5 color clouds rose up and protected Song Ying. Tai 5 Smoke's net. In Fang Qingshan's hands, it was a defensive treasure that was not weaker than the All-Heaven Sword. When he asked Song Yingying to sneak attack Chunan, he gave it to him. Boom! Song Yingying was sent flying by the palm, but he was not injured. What about Chunan? The Infinite Stars book was mercilessly destroyed by the All-Heaven Swords. Not only was his defense damaged, but his primordial spirit was also severely injured. However, he could not care about his injuries at this moment. He looked greedily at the All-Heaven Sword that had flown out of his hand and stretched out his hand, wanting to snatch it. Humans die for wealth, and birds die for food. At this moment, he did not want to escape, but still did not forget to reap benefits. His life was too smooth. He thought that as long as he could hold on for a while, he would be able to rest easy no matter how big the trouble was. However, he was overthinking it. Not to mention the limitless Star Palace. Even the people outside did not notice anything that happened in the Big Dipper Hall. This was because the entire Big Dipper Hall had been completely sealed. No matter what happened inside, the people outside would not be able to sense anything. Remember the dust that slipped out of Luo Shuibei's sleeve? That was the clear sky treasure mirror in Fang Qingshan's hand. With this item and Fang Qingshan support, unless they barged into the Big Dipper Hall, they would not be in danger of being exposed. After all, this was the hinterland of the limitless Star Palace. There were many experts here. If they were exposed, even Xiongqi would not be able to escape unscathed. Therefore, Fang Qingshan did not attack Chunan. Instead, he personally activated the clear sky treasure mirror and sealed the space. Chapter 367. Die! Right at this moment, the glass ball that Song Ying had given him earlier suddenly exploded, and an old devil emerged from within. It was not the soul-devouring beast, but the sky-devouring demon emperor. Of course, it was more appropriate to call him the sky-devouring Buddha. In the past, when the sky-devouring demon emperor opened his eyes, they were pitch black and had the evilest aura in the world. But now his entire body was filled with great compassion and compassion. He was solemn and dignified, like an eminent monk. Of course, the Buddha was angry and also had a glaring gaze. Therefore, his first move was a thunderous one. "You are not the soul-devouring beast. Who are you?" Seeing the sky-devouring demon emperor suddenly appear, Chu Nan exclaimed. He saw the shadow of his father in the sky-devouring demon emperor. Of course, this did not mean that he was related to the sky-devouring demon emperor, but the aura of the sky-devouring demon emperor was not inferior to his father, the supreme elder of Wuji Star Palace. The Wuji Star Palace was different from the Emergent sect. In the Emergent sect, divine powers were the true disciples. Celestial beings could become elders. Wan Shou was the deputy sect master, and Dong Tian could become the supreme elder. In the Wuji Star Palace, divine powers were just the outer sect, celestial beings were the inner sect, Golden Core Realm cultivators could become the true disciples, and Wan Shou was just an ordinary elder and deputy sect master, such as Tsang Ying and Luo Shuibei. Only by obtaining an undying body could one govern a region and become a hall master. If one wanted to become a supreme elder, it would be impossible without the cultivation of the creator realm. In other words, the sky-devouring demon emperor was at least an expert of the creator realm. How could Chunan not panic and despair? In the Battle of Dragonwood Star, Su Xiui had only sent a Grotto Heaven Realm clone, but had almost destroyed Fong Han and Fong Qingxue. After the secret realm of longevity, each level was like a different world. The difference between each level was definitely not smaller than the difference between divine powers and longevity. This was Fong Qingshan's plan. He first used Tsang Ying and Luo Shuibei to get close to Chunan and send the sky-devouring demon emperor to him. With the sky-devouring demon emperor's cultivation, as long as he got close to Chunan, even a Grotto Heaven Realm cultivator would not be able to escape, let alone an immortal body. Boom! The moment the sky-devouring devil emperor appeared, he immediately used his signature technique, Sky-Devouring World Annihilation Palm. Countless streams of demonic chi surged over, gathering into a gigantic palm. It was incomparably black and exuded boundless evil. It was so large that it could cover the sun and moon. A huge mouth could be seen in the center of the palm, as if it was the great devouring art. It possessed boundless devouring power, displaying the true essence of the demonic path. As the palm struck down, the boundless demonic hand shattered the space in its path, turning everything into darkness. What about Chunan? Although he had a high-grade Dao artifact like the Star Emperor Dragon Bed, he did not have the time to use it. Bang! Young Master Chu Nan screamed in agony as his body exploded into a bloody mist. However, in the end, he was an expert who had cultivated an immortal body. Moreover, he was also someone who was protected by a supreme treasure. Therefore, this palm did not take his life. Although his entire body exploded into a bloody mist, at the realm of a mortal body, he could almost be reborn from a single drop of blood. However, the mist did not disperse. Instead, it seemed to have a centripetal force as it slowly gathered towards the center. It wriggled and revealed bursts of dazzling starlight, as if it was about to gather together again. In the center, there was a scepter that emitted boundless divine might, protecting Chu Nan's soul. The body of this scepter was neither gold nor jade, nor was it made of iron. It was made of bone, and dazzling light shone brightly. The words of the celestial race flowed on it like birds spreading their wings to communicate with the heavens. This scepter was like the walking stick of a pharaoh. It was the imperial seal of an emperor, symbolizing the supreme authority. Once the words were spoken, it would be the law. Dishi's scepter, the supreme treasure of the celestial race, was a symbol of ruling over the heavens. A divine fetus was brewing within it, revolving unceasingly. Speaking of the Dishi scepter, one had to mention Chunan's background. He was a typical second-generation rich and powerful. His father was the supreme elder of the limitless star palace, the Star Emperor. His cultivation was probably not inferior to Fengbayu and the others. His mother was the divine emperor of the celestial race, and she should be in existence much more powerful than the heaven resentment divine emperor. Chu Nan was the offspring of the two of them. Ever since he was born, his life had been smooth sailing. Not only did he break through the immortal body and become the Big Dipper Hall Master of the Limitless Star Palace, but he also possessed two high-grade Tao artifacts, the Star Emperor Dragon Bed and the Dishy Scepter. One had to know that apart from people like Fang Qingshan and Fang Han, Evening Xiantian had painstakingly cultivated in the Doomsday Cemetery for more than 1,000 years before he obtained a high-grade Tao artifact, the Last Day's Eye. Apart from a Sky Emperor Mirror, Fengbayu only had the War God Whip. Unfortunately, since the Devouring Sky Demon Emperor had made a move, not to mention a mere high-grade Tao artifact, even a peerless Tao artifact was nothing. With his cultivation, how could he return empty-handed? The huge mouth on the palm of the sky-devouring World Annihilation Palm was like a black hole. As it wriggled, it seemed like it wanted to devour everything in the world. Although he had the protection of the Dishy Scepter, Chunan's flesh and blood were still devoured by the sky-devouring World Annihilation Palm in an irreversible manner. As long as it fell into the palm, it would be forcibly turned into nothingness in an instant, and it would no longer have anything to do with Chunan. No, you can't kill me. Seeing his flesh and blood being devoured bit by bit, even with the protection of the Dishy Scepter, his soul was still restless. Chunan was finally afraid. He originally thought that since this was the Limitless Star Palace, such a huge commotion in the Big Dipper Hall should have alarmed the experts of the Limitless Star Palace. However, until now, there were no reinforcements at all, especially when there was an existence almost comparable to his father among the enemies. My father is the Star Emperor of the Limitless Star Palace. If you kill me, you won't be able to live either. As long as you don't kill me, I'll agree to anything you want. Beauties, resources, treasures, Tao techniques. For the first time, Chunan felt that death was so close to him. At this moment, he no longer cared about his dignity or pride. He used both the carrot and the stick to beg for mercy. If it was the sky-devouring demon emperor in the past, he might have been tempted, but now he was just an executor. Ever since Chu Nan snatched Fang Qingwei and coveted Fang Qingxue, his fate was already decided. Boom! Chu Nan's flesh and blood, soul, and even the Dishy Scepter were all devoured by the sky-devouring demon emperor and suppressed. From Tsang Ying's attack to the sky-devouring demon emperor's success, everything happened in a split second. Because of the short period of time, and Fang Qingshan used the clear sky treasured mirror to conceal the movement, the Limitless Star Palace did not notice anything strange at all. Similarly, they did not expect that someone would be so daring to attack the Big Dipper Hall Master of the Limitless Star Palace in the hinterland of the Limitless Star Palace. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.